We are definitely the It You Trash crew, and we know exactly what we're doing, and you have seen nothing before this. This is us going live, and any statement to the contrary is a falsification, and you will be brought to account for it. Okay? 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 I'll send Mr. Cutter around to your house to make sure you understand the order of events.
You won't survive.
You won't survive. Mr. Cutter is absolutely merciless. Welcome to Gentlemen Strangers, episode something. I don't know what the numbers are anymore, but it's a good chapter, this one. And we are going to be acquiring something quite exciting for the Gentlemen Strangers this week. First, a wee announcement. Sadly, but also happily, because it was a good decision made by a great person. Bethan won't be rejoining us for the foreseeable future for excellent reasons. We're all very sad about it because Bethan's great and Mr. Shadow is great. But hopefully we'll see Bethan on this channel another time. In the meantime, I hope everyone is ready for a caper. Don't forget that you can influence the outcome of scenes and roles with helps and hinders. The easiest way to do this is to hang out in the chat and acquire trash bags and spend them on minor helps and hinders. You can also spend real life Earth human money on helps and hinders using the doobly-doo. I think it's still below your screens. And moderates are significant. They affect the current episode that we're on, or the arc that we're on. Majors affect the whole campaign going forward, and will involve some conspiring twixt thee and me on DMs.
I thought you just said mages. I was like, oh no, mages.
No, I just said major with an English accent. My English accent might not be very convincing, but I've been practicing it.
I've messaged you. Look at it. Sorry.
What?
Carry on, please.
What's happened?
Nothing.
I just looked up and Bree's gone, and I have no idea what I was just saying. I am so easy to throw off my kilter. I'm going to assume I got to the end of my thought. So that's my thought. Thanks, everyone. As soon as Bree's back, I guess we'll get going. Until then, I guess I'll vamp. Hey, how's the weather?
It's really bad.
Yeah.
Oh.
Pretty wintry. Pretty wintry. We've got a nice clear winter's day over here, actually.
It's dark already. Like the sun is set.
Oh, it's 4 p.m.
Yes.
Yes, if you have any mages to sacrifice, please do, but you have to make sure I actually see a death certificate.
Or majors.
Or mages, yes. Regimental sergeant, for preference.
What's happening to the stream?
Bree's back. There we go. Okay.
Hey.
Why am I going Twitch? What? Shut up, Discord. My God in his heaven.
I just tried to notify Mike about that quietly because I thought it would be much less of a obvious fuss for him to fix. I underestimated technology.
People were not in the right window spaces, but now people are in the right window spaces, thanks to
it was a test.
Handy-dandy reshuffling capabilities.
Oh, cool. That's what you were doing.
Yeah, that makes life easier.
Okay. So we actually finished the last session on a bit of a supernatural cliffhanger. Both Mr. Spider and Mr. Hound were investigating. Well, Mr. Hound was tinkering rather than investigating. Mr. Hound was up in the attic of the Millennium Club trying to make contact with the beyond, and somewhat successfully doing so, while Mr. Spider examined the strange writings on the ebony door. Came to the conclusion that while he could identify the script that the writings were in, he has no idea how to interpret the writing. And meanwhile, up in the attic, something very strange has happened. And the candle flame has just died as you hear the this strange voice in your head whispering, "What are you?" You back away from the now extinguished candle, but your mind is swimming. And you feel that sense of wavering that accompanies falling to sleep, where memory, sensation, and dream dance their obliviate waltz, and it's not quite easy to tell what is reality and what is whatever it is dreams are. Your senses slip away, and it's as though your mind's eye blinks. And when it opens, you see Mr. Spider with his back to you, examining the ebony door in your cellar. He looks up and turns to face you, a quizzical expression forming on his sharply featured face. Involuntarily, you look up, down, around at improbable angles. You don't see yourself. You cannot see your feet. You cannot put your hands in front of yourself or even feel them. You rise. No, your mind's eye rises. You are always where you are, of course. You are in the attic. You cannot reach any farther. You cannot rise any higher. You cannot make yourself go in any particular direction. You cannot control the way you're looking. Then darkness overwhelms you, and as it does, you feel yourself shouting. You feel the rawness in your throat of the shout, but your ears are not where your voice is, and you have no idea what it is you're shouting. Your mind returns to the attic as your body falls. Mr. Spider, what you hear is the orb making a loud whispering sound, and you hear it saying, "What are you?" Cutter and Slide, you're up in one of the rooms trying to make it presentable, and you hear from above you Mr. Hound screaming, "What are you?" And then the unmistakable sound, certainly to Mr. Cutter, of a human body hitting the floor.
Can only have gone something like starting out with Slide being like, "No, over there, a little bit to the left," and then the screaming happens, because that's as much work as Slide's doing with tidying.
I wanna imagine that Mr. Slide is in the doorway, directing from the doorway,
Yeah.
and as soon as it happens, Cutter is going to just probably shoulder check him on accident.
Slide will like just hit the wall / deck, like.
Well, then be more agile. That's not my fault.
Slide gets what he deserves in this scenario.
All the dexterity of a moist noodle. It's fine. And I will be bounding towards the body falling.
Okay, yeah. You head up, you open the attic door, and there is Mr. Hound on the floor, quite unconscious, but clearly still breathing.
Okay. Well, gonna sit him up
Staggering
and
up after.
slap him on the face.
You
Wake
give him a slap. It's tough love. Yeah, it's quite easy to wake up. He's probably half awake just from being sat up, but the slap is always a good idea. He does need to learn. Mr. Hound, you recover, but I'm going to deal you level 1 harm.
What?
Slightly addled. I'm going to deal you another level 1 harm, mildly slap. No. You get level 1 harm, slightly addled, which you may resist, of course, if you wish to.
I would like to try to resist this, yes.
You would resist with resolve, if you please.
I will do.
Hey, Hyperion, I'm glad you liked my phrase "obliviate waltz." I don't think "obliviate" is a word, but I'm glad that you took it as one.
I got a 1.
You got a 1. Fantastic. Well, then it costs you 5 stress. Tell me, Mr. Hound, because I've got a horrible feeling about the answer to this question. What happens when you take 5 stress, Mr. Hound?
I've maxed out my stress and I've hit my trauma. Good
You
stuff.
have actually maxed out your stress. Okay,
That's what he would have wanted.
so your stress immediately clears to 0.
Strong start. I will remain the most stable member of this
Top
party.
notch.
Good
Stress
start to the
0.
session. Good start to the session. So you have stress 0, so technically a success. In some ways, you have resisted level 1 harm, but you've taken a trauma. I'll let you have a think about which of the traumatic conditions you believe that Hound might have picked up from this. It's entirely your choice. Normally, traumatic condition would end your participation in the score. You're not actually going to score. You've actually managed to take a trauma during downtime, which is probably technically impressive. But
The
yes,
most-
you've
Hound
taken.
shit in the world.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Down in the cellar. Down in the cellar, the orb has gone dark and quiet once again, Mr. Spider.
Spider is just holding the orb. And he's just sat staring at the orb, holding the orb. Where he shall remain.
Okay.
I have a quick question for the group. What are other people's traumas right now? Because I feel it would be awfully gauche if I doubled up.
Why does not take a
Fine.
I'm paranoid.
You're paranoid. I thought you
I'm-
might be.
Hi, paranoid. I'm haunted.
Yeah, nice. Okay, I know what I'm doing.
Okay. Excellent. Oh no, there are no good ones, are there?
No.
and they all go so well with Mr. Hound. I dread to think. Okay, good, fantastic. So I think the way
Could
that
go
this
soft.
I think the way this resolves for the time being, however, is that you, GTFO, I think right now this room is too much for you to be in, and the innocent sight of the smoking candle wick is too much for you. And I think Mr. Hound goes off to cry it out somewhere in the building.
I think this is also the first time that Cutter and Slide have seen my little makeshift occult den.
Yeah, I
It's
also
very
think
bad.
it's highly likely that Hound body checks Slide on the way out the door because this is everything. to Mr. Slide.
The other shoulder.
I explicitly try and exude another harm upon you with just how body checked you are. No, just for a brief bit of fluff about it. This is not an occultist's lair. This is someone who wants to be an occultist but can only scrounge things occultist lair. There's rough modicums of like, these are candles, they are in a circle around a more important candle. But there's like, even an untrained eye will see this to be relatively farcical in what it's trying to accomplish. But he will kind of scurry out of that space, muttering to himself, and seek to leave.
He doesn't go cry in the cellar, does he?
He does. That's the condition I took.
Why
I'm crying.
say that? Of course he goes and cries in the cellar.
Superb.
Has he been attempting some sort of amateur medium pauper's grift game up here or something?
You're so. Are you all right?
Oh yes, tickety boo, tickety boo.
Mm-hmm. So I wanna walk around this sad occultist setup.
Mhm,
Do I
mhm.
recognize anything like, or it's just chaos to me?
I mean, a lot of that. It's up in the attic of the club, so there's a lot of kind of open space. There's not much up here, and indeed, as described, there's a candle in a little dish surrounded by a
He
few other
hasn't-
candles.
He hasn't like stolen things or like put stuff. I don't know.
No, he doesn't have like a map of London and pictures of pretty
Okay.
girls he's seen. It's not.
I'm just.
I don't think we're doing a Mr. Hound is actually Jack the Ripper storyline.
Alright. So
I mean, I
I'm gonna
don't think we are. It's up to Mike, really.
No, I'm gonna go ahead and knock over the more important candle. Break the circle. None of that here.
Yeah, having loved from Mr. Slide's limited but very specific experience of occult ritual, does this look like at all anything like he
Doesn't
would
look. It
consider
doesn't. It
legit,
honestly
but-
doesn't look the remotest bit occult.
Okay.
Okay. Well, just in case. I mean, he panicked and fell onto the floor. I assume something traumatic
Maybe-
happened.
Oh, maybe he took a little bit too much laudanum during whatever it was he was engaging in. That would make him a bit more relaxed. Possibly he's
It's
been
actually-
inhaling something else.
Cutter. Actually, I will give you this because of your Fight Club vice.
Mm-mm.
He didn't. He hit the floor hard, and it's a bare wooden floor, so of course you heard it. But he hit the floor really hard, which implies, first of all, that he had to have been standing up at the very least, but also kind of implies that he was hit down or knocked down or pushed down. He didn't simply misplace a foot. He must have had to have been going at speed and tripped. But you look around, and first of all, there's nothing for him to have tripped on, and secondly, you can't really walk around up here like that. The worst would happen if you tripped is you'd fall over and just put your hand out and catch yourself quite easily. He had to fall quite aggressively.
Okay. Then I'm going to look behind some of these dusty boxes, just make sure there's no one here, and then turn to Mr. Slide and be like,
Who is looking for for Mr. Hound's drugs.
I will ask the
no.
question, actually, Mr. Hound. When you engage upon your little bargain basement seances, do you assist your mind's opening with any sort of substances, or is this purely a meditative procedure?
It's entirely meditative. The whole methodology behind it is that he is seeking control, and his mindset is, if he is not in full control of himself in that moment, he hasn't really asserted control over anything.
Right, gotcha.
Plus, if you've been in my cocaine, I swear to God.
No, I'll turn to Mr. Side and either someone was here and we missed them, or something pushed Mr. Hound. That was too hard of a fall for him to have tripped.
Well, I suppose I'd rather defer to your expertise in that matter. I was wondering whether or not he just... Nope, just lavender. Inhaled something or the like, and thought he saw something and took a little bit of a tumble. But maybe there's more to this than... Maybe he's better at this than it looks.
In this particular instance, I do hope you're wrong.
Oh, well,
Let's leave this room. Just in case.
I really hope he's
Oh.
not haunted, the upstairs. This place is already haunted enough.
Oh no, paranoid tingles happening. Oh, I'm leaving this room. I'm not going to shoulder check this time, but I'm gonna come at you as if I
In this session, everyone
has
has to barge into Mr. Slide at least once. Spider, I hope you get one in at some point.
I'm not certain I could
No.
really cause much of an impact.
I'm not gonna do that, but I'm gonna just at the very last second, though, maybe. Gotta work on your reflexes. Poor Mr.
Okay.
Slide.
So down in the cellar, the extensive cellar of the Millennium Club, comes a rather pale and sort of distant looking Mr. Hound. He has this very haunted expression, as it were.
Mr. Spider is sat cross-legged on the floor. There's clearly a candle and a copious stack of notes. He's got his back to the ebony door, and he is holding the orb in his hand and is just sort of staring at it. He looks a little distant.
He is, as Hound comes in, he's kind of, he's still muttering to himself the string of uttered expletives that he began as he made his exit from the attic. And he's put as much distance as he feasibly can from the place where he has been slightly burned. And so seeing Spider there will kind of halt And his shoulders are firmed and his arms are slightly spread in that way over someone who looks very wary. And even if Spider doesn't look up at that, he will say quite loudly in a way that kind of affirms his presence. What are you doing?
What are you? Sorry, what?
What are you doing?
I'm not sure I'm certain. I was studying the door. Fascinating subject. I think I've quite reached the pinnacle of what I can achieve with it. What?
You were studying the door?
Yes.
And why are you holding that?
The orb?
It's not a door, is it?
No. No, the door is... the language of angels.
What?
Or so they said.
Who?
Oh, you know, Don D.
What?
Don D. Claimed to talk to angels.
The orb is talking in the language of angels.
No. No, I do believe the orb was talking in somewhat different terms. The writing
What
on the door is
spoke in the
perhaps
language of angels? Did the door talk in the language of angels?
Are you quite well, Mr. Hound?
No. Are you?
On the contrary, I think I have come across something quite phenomenal. Are there any books in the house on Enochian?
There's no fucking books anywhere in the house of Enochium or any kind. I don't know what Enochium is, admit, but if there's anything useful for the kind of shit that starts asking you questions like, what are you? Then no, there's nothing in here.
What are you?
What are you? Right, why are you asking that?
That is the question, isn't it?
Fuck off, why are you asking it?
My dear fellow, no need for language like that.
Sorry, I'll talk in the language of angels then.
Well, it would be very useful, for I am trying to translate the door.
Does the orb translate the door?
Yes. Does the orb translate the door? That would be something, wouldn't it?
Why did you ask me what I was?
I don't know. Just what? What? You're Mr. Hound. You're a gentleman of London, born and raised here.
Give me the orb.
No.
Why not?
Because you're acting erratically. I would not give you a teacup right now, let alone the orb.
What happened down here?
I was studying the door.
Yeah. Great. Fantastic conversationalist.
If you're looking for casual conversation, I suggest you try Mr. Slide.
I'm looking for you to tell me what you were doing because the likelihood is I saw it happening. Because I was briefly down here.
I believed you were up in the attic. Or wherever it is you go to skulk.
I was skulking in the attic. Then I started fucking around up there. And
Language,
briefly
Mr. Hound.
I started doodling around up there. And then somehow I, doodling well, appeared down here. And I was looking at you. But I weren't here. And I couldn't move. And I heard something ask me that question too.
Oh, dear fellow. What a fascinating turn of events.
Uh-huh.
What were you doing in the attic?
I was trying to summon a ghost.
Now, why would you want to do that?
Because I want to summon a ghost. Which...
Your logic, as usual, Mr. Hound, is flawless. If perhaps...
No, hold on. What were you doing with the orb?
I was trying to figure out why it should be whispering at me.
How long
Were
has
you
the orb been whispering at you?
Not long.
Oh.
And it has since ceased. Given your account, I would have assumed it was you performing the whispering.
No. Don't think so. Anyway, maybe. I don't know.
So
Point.
you were able to see me, but
Yep.
you did not hear the whispering.
No.
I was not able to see you, only the orb.
I don't think there's a conclusion to draw from all of this, if I'm honest.
No.
But you're just as guilty as me as for fooling around with stuff we don't understand. That much I know is true, and I want to hear you say it.
Oh, my dear fellow. Once again, your logic is flawless, but your conclusions are unfounded. For I was making notes.
I made notes.
I should love to see them, quite dearly.
Can't see them, they're in my head, but I made notes.
Ah.
Everything I've observed, I've made a mental note of, and I know exactly what to do and what not to do.
Then it seems, Mr. Hound, that you and I are not the same. The others are present. Perhaps we should have tea.
Yeah, I guess we'll have tea.
And until then, Mr. Hound, might I suggest that you do not go poking in matters that you do not comprehend.
You don't comprehend either. Why is it different for you? You don't know what the door is. You don't know what that is.
No. Perhaps a visit to the library is in order.
We don't have a library.
No, my dear fellow, but London does. London does.
I didn't reckon there'd be many books on this kind of thing in there.
Well, there's only one way to find out. I'm going investigating.
I thought we were having tea.
Oh, don't wait up, my dear fellow, don't wait up. Mr. Spider is going to restore the orb to where it rested and go and gather up his papers and things.
You seem a little erratic, if you don't mind my saying so, sir.
What?
Or I'm going.
Mr. Spider seems genuinely stoned out of his head, and I love it.
No, you don't understand. I'm going to do research.
Yeah.
You, on the other hand, attempted to summon a ghost and instead occupied an orb. Curious fellow. Very curious.
I think we're both as wrong as each other. I think neither of us should have done what we did.
Your guilt, Mr. Hound, in this matter is quite interesting. You are attempting to somehow share the guilt that you feel about what you did with me, when I did nothing of the sort. It is interesting, for you are usually such a stoic chap. This has really rattled you, hasn't it?
She picked me up and threw me across a room.
Broke 2 ribs on your left side.
I want to do anything in my power to make sure that no one, living or dead, has the capacity to do that to me ever again.
Including summoning a ghost to this house.
If I can summon him, then I've got one leg over them. It's control.
A man may raise a dog, the dog will still bite him.
My dog will never bite me.
No, your dog, on the other hand. Quite a different matter.
The dog analogy loses its purpose if the dog that I can directly relate to is a dog that's been well trained and in my control, as a ghost might be.
But a ghost is not a dog, Mr. Hound.
Then why talk about dogs at all? Sometimes apologies don't.
Okay, I'm going to move this along because
No.
the scene has officially devolved into some sort of odd slap fight where neither of you seems to know what you're saying. So, Mr.
Unfair.
Spider,
That
I
is
think.
so punting unfair.
Whoa.
Mr. Spider,
No,
please.
no, that's Izzy. Izzy said that. Izzy did, because I'm not having any of this he said, she said bullshit.
Mr. Spider, shall we go to the British Library? Or do you have some other more specific library in mind?
The London Library, the finest library in the world.
To the London Library, where the Queen herself gets her periodical sent. The Queen herself goes to pick up her manga. It is obviously an appropriate time. I was imagining this was the middle of the night, but I imagine it is now not the middle of the night. It is an appropriate time of day to go to a library.
Well, no, I wasn't trying to. This is not a game where you immediately carry on everything chronologically. Mr.
No.
Spider was going to leave the Millennium Club. Fucking flies! Mr. Spider was going to leave the Millennium Club and go studying. Like, whether or not he went directly to that library is another matter. He's gone to
Excellent.
nebulously study.
I think
And also sober up.
There is a fly in here, and it will not stop buzzing here.
I honestly thought that was part of you role playing.
this is real. Yeah, this is
No. It's just incredibly. It's riling me up because it's always in my vision. And if it went over there, I wouldn't mind. But it is right here all the time, and I hate it. I hate it.
You should host a Mr. Spider PSA on kids don't do 7 milligram tinctures of cocaine.
The cocaine on this matter is not the problem.
Because I think you could really bring across the don't do cocaine energy. So to the British Library. It has everything, you know. Everything. You're a member, I assume.
Yeah, obviously.
Of course you are. Of course you're a member. When you arrive, you see two rather well-dressed gentlemen. One is holding he's holding a broadsheet that he sort of got folded over, and they seem to be either arguing over something, or at least they're intensely conversing about it. And you hear one of them saying something like, not if that dreadful Brumley fellow has anything to do with it, as you walk over to the main desk.
Does the name Bramley mean anything to me?
Not particularly.
Looking up occult antiquities. He was Tudor, wasn't he?
Yes. Yes, he was one of Queen Elizabeth's advisors. And textbook batshit.
Mm-hmm. I had a brush with that today.
I guess it's not too difficult to find this sort of stuff. I'm not going to ask you for a study roll because I don't think you're going to learn anything that I haven't already told you.
No, I didn't think I would. Just Mr. Spider wants to exhaust his.
Essentially, yes. Well, okay. There is one thing I will be able to give you, which is you can copy down what John Dee believed the Enochian alphabet corresponded to. But I think some point halfway through transcribing it, you sort of give a frustrated sigh because you realize that, yes, indeed, he seemed to think it was just a direct cipher for English. You note down the letters and what John Dee thought they corresponded to in English, but you're not particularly optimistic that they actually do correspond to English and that the door will reveal anything. But it's a place to start, I suppose.
I will note it down diligently.
He claims that the language was taught to him through direct contact with celestial beings. Meanwhile, on the continent, they're communing with devils, which is altogether improper.
Also not a dog.
What?
Mr. Spider mutters to himself while he notes it down.
Yeah, you tell him. When you get back to the Millennium Club, point right in his face and go, "You're Russell Crowe." Just say that to him. "You're Russell Crowe." He won't know what it means. It'll throw him off his game completely for the rest of the night.
I don't know what it means.
Absolutely. So, yeah. Meanwhile, back at the Millennium Club, while Mr. Spider is out getting his Enochian cipher sorted, what are the three of you? Well, actually, Mr. Hound, I'd like to follow up with you. Do you get tea?
Yeah, I'm gonna follow through with that. I feel like that was a good idea, and even if Mr. Spider's not in attendance, the fact of the matter is Mr. Spider now knows the shit I was up to, and the shit that I was up to didn't go particularly well. So I'm gonna make tea. I'm gonna make tea for everyone who's in the club, and I'm great at making tea. Only I'm not, and it's loud and bad. But
Yeah.
I'm very loudly and badly making a pot of tea for everyone, wherever tea is had. Probably in the room where I was fucking thrown by a ghost. I don't know.
Oh, you gone back upstairs?
No, the first time.
All right, Carter. Could you hear all that noise? Do you think someone's broken in?
No.
Do you think Hound's breaking things?
I'm going to investigate. You can stay here if it makes you feel better.
No, it really doesn't.
Follow me then. Gonna go down.
I think we're being robbed.
We're not being robbed. I would know. No, I wouldn't know. I'm just.
I like that Kath and I both did the same expression. Would you though? Are you how?
I'm just being mysterious. Leave me alone.
Oh, nice, good, yeah. You just go look him dead in the eye and go, I would know, and then walk away and go, I'm Russell Crowe.
I feel like none of us are allowed to be mysterious today because Luke shouts.
He shouted as I'll call as Russell Crowe. It's I don't know what angle to go.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I interrupted your enigmatic conversation about who is or was a dog or training a dog. I realized I couldn't follow it and thought, no, I've got a plot for today's session. I would like to fucking do it, please. This is nonsense. So,
I think it's all made
so-
a logical sense.
I don't think they were having the same conversation as each other, but it
No.
certainly seemed to be working in some capacity.
I think
that was deliberate on Mike's part.
I definitely think Mr. Hound might be having no difficulty whatsoever and would be completely mentally well adjusted and not at all responding to traumatic events. Several traumatic events he's experienced within the few weeks he's known you people.
I barge into the kitchen and I say, "What happened?"
And it's the daintiest teapot in the world in the hands of the second thuggiest person in this room. I'm making tea.
Are you?
Can't you see? There are cups and saucers and little spoons.
I suppose if one wants to distill tea down, also none of that involves tea. But
I invite you, if you don't like my work, to make your own tea.
I'm fascinated. Please carry on.
Badly pours tea into cups that to him seem too small and not right. He looks at sugar. He doesn't really know what to do with that, and so puts 3 in each cubes. There's milk that is applied too liberally to one, not enough to another, and the third he just leaves and decides that that's going to be slides to do with what he will. Cutter gets the 2 milky tea, and he takes a stronger tea. And then
I want to ask a question about the milk, but I'm not quite sure how to. This room temperature milk that you're storing somewhere.
Whatever the equivalent may be, this could well be just. Sometimes you get milk and you put it in a cupboard, a salting cupboard or something. I don't know.
Into a nice pantry somewhere, which is probably mostly just our cellar.
I mean, the cellar is easily nice and cool. I mean, it could function as a wine cellar. It's nice and cool and dark in there. I mean, your secret lair is only in a small part of the cellar, after all. Presumably, at one point, this place did indeed store quite a good bit of booze.
Now we've all got a cup of tea. I want to tell you, I've been trying to summon a ghost. It's out in the air, and now Spider can't hold it against me.
Please start from the beginning,
Okay.
briskly.
We showed up
I'm
here
gonna,
one night.
like,
Ghost attacked us, threw me against the wall. I thought, that's enough of that. I'm going to make a ghost happen and throw it against the wall. That's what I've been trying to do on my own.
but it didn't work. The ghost threw you against the floor this time.
Twice now. Not happy about it.
What measures did you take to not be thrown?
Let me answer that question with another question for you. What measures would you have taken?
Not summon a ghost.
Well, there we differ.
Thus far, I have not been thrown into anything by any ghosts, so thus far, I'm ahead on this.
I was almost murdered by some ghosts.
A few of us have more problems with ghosts than others, it seems.
I think technically speaking, what I encountered weren't ghosts, but well, whoever knows what that electricity was summoning.
It does raise a valid question. How, in this world, where there's ghosts and things that are adjacent to, if not directly related to ghosts, can we, or idiots, prepare ourselves against ghosts?
Excuse me, I'm not an idiot.
People,
I know exactly what I'd do about this situation.
go on.
Go down to the Aventine, where there's a large array of wizards who are capable of dealing with these things, or may know someone who is.
What if the ghost has happened while we're in the middle of a heist and we've got no way to get to the Aventine?
Well, that's what you go, not right away, but I'm not saying that as the emergency response. I'm saying that as the response in lieu of peddling with chalk upstairs.
I'm trying to take a proactive stance against the otherwisely natural. There needs to be a word for
How's
it.
that going?
I summoned something.
So you may have made it worse.
Also, Spider's not making much sense, and also has been dabbling in the arcane. So we need to keep an eye on Spider. Probably more than me, because I've been honest about it.
Not to take sides here, but to maybe present a third side. I think we need to ask someone who knows more about this than us.
Yes, exactly. We need an expert on this. And we know exactly where we can go to get an expert.
Yeah, Aventine.
Or at least people who may know someone who knows so. Anything can be done by enough conversations with the right people. You'll find someone who can do something and will do it for a favor or some money or anything.
Oh, then to take Mr. Slide's side, I think we should go to the Aventine and ask some people.
There's no reason that
Questions.
couldn't be my side too. We could all be on the
Yes.
same side on this.
I didn't want you. It looked like you were arguing, and I didn't want to get in the middle of it because
I'm
we all
just-
know who would win that fight.
I'm just well aware of the fact that if this had gone right and I had a ghost bound to my whim, you'd all be saying, Mr. Hound, what a jolly good show. You did it all by yourself and you accomplished it, and no one could take that from you. And instead, just because it happened to go a bit wrong this time, it's all, Mr. Hound, why weren't you taking adequate precautions? I've not really had the opportunity presented to me.
Everything you have said is technically correct, but I don't think that alleviates you of any burden. What's Spider been doing?
Oh, Spider's been investigating the door that's written in the language of the angels, and something about the orb that's down there was connected to whatever I did upstairs too. 'Cause I
And
was
what
brief-
happened?
Oh, I was briefly down there, but not in my body.
What?
I don't understand it.
What happened to Spider?
Spider's gone loco. Spider.
Do we need to
Spider.
find him?
Spider's weird. No, he's at the library. He's at the
Oh.
London Library, the finest
sounds
institution in
perfectly-
London.
You should lead with that.
Oh,
So what's wrong with Spider?
jittery.
It is a little unusual.
Kind of distant. Like he's not fully paying attention to you.
Oh, you mean thinking?
No, it's a difference because he's still absorbing all the information like a sponge,
Yes.
but he'll quite often be looking aside and talking as if there's another conversation going on that you're only hearing half of.
Well, he's, one of those brilliant types. They think about things and...
I don't think he's
responsible
that
anymore.
brilliant, if I'm honest.
Well, what went wrong with what he was doing? Did he get displaced or thrown against a wall or a floor?
Oh, no. Shut up.
Thus far, I'm unsure of what the point of concern is. I'm all in favor of us not being haunted in this place. I think that needs to be
That's
stated.
what I'm trying to help with.
I just think that none of us are experts in the occult. I'll be a little forthright. I have seen a little of occult ritual conducted. Now,
What?
in the past. Now,
Oh,
far from being an expert in the matter, it's not something where I believe I am in any position to try to recreate anything. In fact, the closest that I'm aware of is it looked exceptionally complicated, is what I am saying. And dare I say, more professional than your upstairs dabbling. And that makes me exception. And also, I have seen what happens when these things go wrong. So I am rather leery about one engaging poorly or making such mistakes on this matter.
then why don't we go down to the Aventide and see if we can find someone who can help us be better equipped so I can continue with what I want to do with my time on this fleeting
Excellent idea,
earth.
Mr. Hound. I'm glad you suggested it. Let's go.
I'm not ignorant to the fact that was Slide's suggestion, but I will take the compliment on that regard.
I do want to know, you seem to have taken this awfully personally.
I got picked up and thrown by Mistress Whisper day one.
Yes. All right.
Fuck all of them. Ghosts, whatever's out there.
Every ghost.
Every ghost.
Fuck every ghost.
Fuck every
I don't know if I'm going to be that crass about it.
Yeah, I'm going to quit. I don't want to do this. This is
Oh,
not the game
actually,
I wanted to GM. I changed my mind.
ghost fuckers.
I guess I'm going to the Aventine.
I guess you're going to the Aventine. We're here to fuck every ghost in the city of London.
How do we fuck
And
every
we shall,
ghost?
we shall start with the Aventine. Mr. Spider, you're having a slightly more sane time at the library. You've made your notes, and I think it's fair to say you're leaving a little. Well, I confirmed my beliefs, and I've got a better place to start. And on your way out, you pass the area where the two gentlemen were arguing, and you see that they have left behind their folded up broadsheet.
It would behove me not to litter the place.
Naturally, Mr. Spider, taking a curiosity in things, you of course glance at the page. And you see a long obituary to the recently deceased Earl of Balmoral, and the announcement that his son, that is to say the new Earl of Balmoral, is holding an auction at Christie's of several of his father's bits and pieces. Numerous pictures, which is posh for paintings, are being auctioned. Correspondence between his grandmother and Queen Caroline, a collection of Mesopotamian artifacts, a collection of rare books concerning the occult, and various pieces of jewelry. The auction is to be held tonight at Christie's auction house.
Indeed. Paper folded up. Glasses in pocket. Indeed.
So, well, we know what our first bit of merch is, then, don't we? It's a t-shirt with "fuck every ghost" on it, and then like a picture of a ghost with a top hat. Okay.
Tiny Mr. Spider down here going, language.
So we'll spare Mr. Spider. We'll spare Mr. Spider any bit of comment. What we'll do is we'll go to the Aventine with you three. Mr. Spider, you'll go back to the Millennium Club. No one will be there, and because you're a smart cookie, you'll realise they've gone to the Aventine. So we'll start off with these three at the Aventine, and you can join in due course.
Just let me know.
Middle of the day. Middle of the day, the Aventine isn't
Oh, thank
absolutely packed.
goodness, I can get a good cup of tea.
And Mr. Hyde is not is not present behind the bar, but a few of the bar staff welcome you and sort of greet you.
We could get a pot of tea, that would be splendid.
Coming right up.
I'm just going to have to take my chances with whatever it is that they have. Now, we might have better luck later on in the day, but we can possibly just start to put around the word that we are looking for a specialist in ghosts.
I would just like to call your attention to the last time you were in the Aventine talking about ghosts. You may recall what took place.
Was I there?
Yes, you were. This was you were not there, Mike.
Right.
This was the case of the electrified theatre, where you discover that it is generally taken by the supernatural world that ghosts simply do not exist.
What?
I'd forgotten that.
Hyde, in fact, who is acquaintances with several magicians.
Oh, that was the thing Hyde was like, that doesn't exist.
What are you
Well,
talking about?
fucking
Vampires?
excuse us.
Yes, definitely vampires and probably werewolves and all manner of fairy creatures, but ghosts? Get out. Ghosts.
Right.
But that being said, you now know that something has happened,
Yes.
and you now know that Mr. Hound was trying to make contact with those beyond the veil. So that's not nothing.
Mm-hmm. Right. Now, we're going to have to work on our phrasing a little bit because Mr. Hyde got a little dismissive when we were asked about ghosts before, on the assumption that, now, bear with me to the end of this point that I'm going to make, the assumption that ghosts do not exist. Now, we have two factors. One, obviously, Mr. Hound has experienced something. Two, we have experienced, albeit somewhat differently, something else. There is some sort of entity. Maybe it is not actually the spirit of a deceased person that exists and lingers within our realm rather than passing rightfully onto its place.
Let me hop in, because I've come to realise what I'm saying by the term ghosts is probably, in my interpretation, too vague. Here's a list, a short list of what I don't like and would like to stop happening. Whatever Whisper was when she came to attack us, I want to make sure that I've got the capacity to kill one of those outright. Whatever spoke to me and threw me around just before, I want to make sure that I've got the capacity to kill one of them outright. If one of us were to be marked and tainted by whatever the other world is, I want to make sure that I've got the capacity to stop that from being a problem.
I'm going to put one concern on the table here. Don't make bargains with things, Mr. Hound.
I've not bargained with shit. Sorry, with anything.
It sounds like you're looking for an offer, that's all.
Generally speaking, in my history, when I've been made an offer that looks too good to be true, it's proven to be more than wrong. I'm not the kind that will just grab power and not think about the consequences. But I want to see what kind of power is out there to be grabbed.
Very well. We can make some inquiries about invisible presences. Would that suffice as a start? And
Yeah.
the sense of dislocation that you experienced.
Yeah.
And we can take it from there. Did you communicate with anything? You said she. Is that a presumption?
What happened was, there was an eye in the flame of a candle.
Uh-huh.
It asked what I was.
Uh-huh.
And then it got strange, and I was down in the basement. And then that's the other thing. Spider kept saying it too. What are you? I'm not trying to always push things back on Spider, you understand? I just want to make sure that we're not. Because okay, yeah, I was dabbling. It's bad. I could have put us in some danger. That's on me. Spider, also a concern. Separate concern.
It's something. I looked at you and said, "What are you?" And then you said, "What are you?" And then you were knocked onto the floor.
Yeah.
At what point did you see Spider?
Before I remember being on the ground.
Are you sure you didn't just see Spider say, "What are you"?
Yes.
Are you sure it wasn't Spider's eye?
Yes.
Why?
Okay, when we meet up with Spider again, I'm gonna have a look at his eye. And see
you see what I'm suggesting, that you projected. I don't know how this works.
as if the eye of the flame were a looking glass to Spider's looking through the orb.
Yes.
I understand.
Doesn't explain that you're getting catapulted onto the floor, and possibly I'm getting into far too wild conjecture of something I really don't want to be an expert in. So let's have some tea and make some gentle inquiries.
Good idea.
Speaking of gentle inquiries, just as you're getting down to the last maybe half cup of your pot of tea and considering whether you want to ask for a top up, a family friend enters the pub, which is to say, Mr. Seamus McCreary.
Oh, fuck my life.
Problems on problems. Mr. McCreary is here. Mr. McCreary spies you and walks over. This time, however, he does not sit down with you. Oh, good afternoon to you all.
Mr. McCreary, good day.
Good day to you. I won't be joining you, of course. Mr. Hound, I wonder if I could have a private word.
Right you are. So.
However, he doesn't lead you to a table. He actually walks towards the door. If you'll come with me, Mr. Hound.
Kind of glances back briefly at the table, not in a, hey, follow me, I'm in danger way, more in a, this is happening to me now, bye way, and then heads out.
I hope he is of a mood where he can keep a civil tongue in his head.
Follow him.
Not Cutter.
It's Cutter leaving.
No, I'm asking Mr. Side if I should follow him.
No, we should. We're going to have to learn how to coexist with Mr. McCreary for the moment, which will include not unduly offending him. The right time will occur.
You sound like Mr. Spider.
Well, we can't just kill him right here and now, can we?
But we could. Is the thing. Okay, I'm done. Now,
You could. He's right there. He doesn't have any bodyguards.
I'm just gonna enjoy my tea.
Okay.
And look around to see if there's any.
But if you killed him, he'd be dead.
He would.
Yeah. And you'd never have problems again.
None.
Mr. Hound. Mr. McCreary leads you out of the pub, and the two of you are walking down the road together. So, I have rather excellent news for you, Mr. Hound.
Well, I'd be delighted to get some good news, if I'm honest.
You and I still have a debt to settle, I believe.
That is true.
And an opportunity has come up for you to settle that debt.
Oh. How's that then?
I have an address and a person living at that address who needs to die.
Okay.
Once that's taken care of, you and I shall be at equilibrium once again. And we can either wash our hands of each other or continue working together, but this time it'll be as equals. No debts, no grudges. I'm a very pragmatic man. You would benefit from working with me, or you might decide not to, but that'll be your business. Understood?
Understood. May I ask only 2 questions?
I can't promise I'll have answers for them, but of course you may ask.
I understand, and you are free to tell me that you will not answer them. What did they do?
I hesitate to answer that question because it is a wrong question.
Well, this can be a dialogue. I'm happy to have it revised.
There is a debt that is owed, and their death pays it.
Do you want them to know why it's happening?
No, the person in question already knows I'm trying to kill them. They've made it very difficult for me, which is why I need people with certain skills. You happen to kill one of the only men in my employ who has those skills, so naturally, you seem to be the person I'm using to complete the task.
Okay. That is all I need to know.
Really? Good. You're very pragmatic. Who would normally be the first question, but that's all right. All
Well,
you need to know is there's only one person at the address, and they're to die.
the only other practical question that's worth asking is when do you need it done by?
Today, by preference. We've located them, you see, but they're slippery. We've had them before, but they keep escaping our grasp.
Okay.
Now, there's one other thing. This has to be a disappearance.
Ah.
Obviously, you know the business that I run is a funeral home, but if you have your own ways of disposing of remains, I'll leave that to your discretion, but the remains must be completely disposed of, Mr. Hound.
Acceptable.
All right, well, my boys will be expecting you on Mercer Street, but if you don't show up, we'll just assume you've made arrangements that we don't need to know about, right?
Very well.
Very well. He gives you the address.
Okay. I take
And he
it.
says, a couple of my boys are staking out the location now. I take it you're walking about with that remarkable pistol of yours.
Well, I am.
Well, if you can find a way that's more quiet than that, we'd appreciate it, but frankly, that's more your concern than ours.
I
The
wouldn't
address
use-
isn't far away. Maybe sort of half an hour's walk.
I may have a brief recce with your lads now.
He offers his hand.
Take it.
Good luck to you, sir.
And have a good day.
And he crosses the street.
I will happily head on down to Mercer Street and have a powwow with his lads.
The information that you get from them is essentially that she is holed up in this address and has been very careful not to be seen, but they've managed to put it together. She may have made a miscalculation and kind of moved a bit too out in the open. And they're in Camden, and McCreary ultimately has plenty of informants.
Also, we don't say powwow. It's not chill. Let's retract that part.
Okay.
When I edit the video, I will do my best mic impression and say "quick get together" instead.
James, cut this bit out.
So yeah, that's really what you get from them, and that there are a couple of boys out sort of nearby the address. If there's any kind of problem, they are available for backup should you require it, but obviously them making a move now would be really bad. She's a flight risk.
I guess it comes down to this. Let me kind of pierce the veil for a moment. Do you anticipate this scene happening now, or would you rather move back to the plot and we address this later on?
Let's let Spider. We'll say Hound is kind of I think Hound is probably going to go back to the Millennium Club, get some gear, calm himself down, and deliberately either stare at or deliberately not stare at the orb. I'm not sure exactly how he's responding to the orb at the moment. So we'll cut to Mr. Spider arriving at the. I think Mr. Spider, I think you are on your way to the Aventine. You're not far from the Aventine. You think across the street you see Seamus McCreary walking the other way, nattering with someone or other, and sort of go, well, okay, fine. I'm not going to get entangled with that. Or do get entangled with it. I don't know. I'm assuming you wouldn't, but do it. Like I said, if he dies,
Stop trying to make us kill McCreary. It's not going to
Okay.
happen until it happens, I think.
Until it happens, yeah. It's not going to happen until Cutter does it. Yeah, and you go to the Aventine. It's a very different sort of place. You've been here during the day before, and you can see your arrival, I think, causes Mr. Slide to make the decision. Yes, we would like a top up on that pot of tea. Thank you very much.
I need to wipe out the taste of whatever it was that Hound fed me.
That can't have been tea. That can't be right. That just
It
had to be
was.
random leaves.
Yes, Mrs. Spider, who never had the horror of a cup of tea made by Mr. Hound, was like, oh, lovely tea.
Yes,
Gentlemen,
Mr. Spider had a fruitful studying.
quite so. And he'll drop down the obituary, which he has neatly circled the pertinent part.
Mhm.
I'm going to ask you to elaborate.
An occult library, Mr. Slide.
Oh, I see. Right, yes. You've made obviously multiple steps at this point, so I was several behind. That would be of some use, it would seem.
Seems to me that I have quite reached the pinnacle of my deeply inconsiderable expertise regarding my studies with the door. Mostly involved looking and what I remembered from school. The library was the library talks of history, but obviously the library speaks of history, but not of theoretical magic, which obviously, according to booksellers and book buyers, is quite impossible. But it seems to me that if we are going to further our experiences, we need things that are not in the public eye.
Yes.
An auction of a private library seems to be just the ticket. Of course, alas, it's Christie's, not Sotheby's, but there's no accounting for taste.
So I assume that we're not in a position to purchase this library.
No, I should imagine not. Unless you should happen to have an exorbitant sum of money just loose in your pocket right now.
No, not loose in my pocket.
The issue, of course, is the auction is tonight.
Ah, of course. Let's take a look. Well, we either strike preemptively, which is going to be an awful amount of hassle, or it's going to have to be out from under people's noses.
Yes, I've turned it over and over in my head, and it's occurred to me that there is taking the books beforehand, taking the books during, taking the books after.
Mm.
It basically settles on how much of a stir we wish to cause, and
Ideally, definitely.
whomst we wish to make our enemy.
Well, the problem with after is that one cannot anticipate who is going to possibly buy it.
Quite.
And whilst that would require a vast amount of striking opportunistically and likely hijacking a wagon as it departs the premises. On the other hand, we are going to need to transport the damned thing,
Yes.
which does rather support the idea of we wait until it has been loaded or has not been unloaded and abscond with the vehicle.
That was something along the lines of my thinking. If we steal it once they have been purchased, then we avoid it becoming more of a public matter. We are aided in the fact that we are not attempting to resell anything that we have stolen.
Indeed. No, I agree that I think striking afterwards. I would assume that transportation is liable to be included as part of the purchasing. It would be delivered to your place of request after purchase.
I cannot imagine that they would have all of the books on site anyway.
No, that's true, which does rather risk the possibility that we're going to need to strike at a warehouse or whatever storage facility is being held there.
Easier to rob a storage facility than it is to rob Christie's when it's mid-auction.
Mm. In which case, we will probably want to be utilizing the auction itself to identify who to follow and where to make an interception en route. At the warehouse, at the storage facility, wherever it may be, or whilst it is in transit from said storage facility.
Yes. What it will involve is scoping out the location for whom may have purchased the books, who would be interested in them, and finding out where they are held. Christie's.
The closest thing I can suggest I can offer in terms of usefulness is attending the auction and having a bit of a chin wag to see who's interested, see what they would say about their intentions, and thus I may be able to at least provide some insight for a strike, or it might be completely useless.
Yes. Also knowing exactly how much we're dealing with.
Mm.
If it's only a few books, we could swap them out.
Library, however. I cannot imagine that they will have filtered out what we want from simply all of his books.
I can make some, in fact, attending then makes more use. I can make some inquiries. I can ask also about some of the owners as to learn a bit more about storage. How are they being kept? What conditions, etc., etc., would you recommend? Blah, blah, blah. I can...
An excellent idea, Mr. Slide. Capital.
I've never been to an auction.
And then arm you as much as possible with some useful information ahead of what will probably have to be something of an opportunistic strike in the aftermath.
Oh heavens, I imagine Mr. Hound has gone walkabout again.
Mr. Hound is speaking with Mr. McCreary.
Of course he's dead.
Yes,
Oh.
it would appear to be the case.
Mr. McCreary has picked quite the day for it. Hound was quite something earlier.
Yes, you seem to think that something was awry with yourself.
Me? Oh. I believe that he is having a terrible guilt about his attempted...
He did seem quite defensive.
He has been attempting to commune with the spirits.
He told us.
Yes. I was attempting to translate the words on the door down in the cellar when I was accosted by our orb, which I believe was Mr. Hound's doing, or at least related to the new friends Mr. Hound attempted to cultivate.
I think you two just ended up magically shouting at each other.
I didn't shout at anyone. The orb appeared, whispered at me, said, "What are you?" and then fell silent. I was observing the orb in case it should speak again when Mr. Hound came upon me and started accusing me of all manner of things.
At any point did you mutter, "What are you?" over the course of your examinations, Mr. Spider?
No, I didn't say anything other than, I beg your pardon?
I mean, even beforehand, sort of to yourself, thinking aloud.
No, I don't tend to think aloud. It does not behove others to listen to what my thoughts are.
I suppose not. All right, well, that eradicates the closest thing I had to a theory. But
there was some sort of transient connection between the two of us.
Yes, that's a good way of putting it.
Well, he claims to have seen me looking at the door, but
Yes, he said.
But I'm not fully certain what he saw, because he then accused me of doing as bad as he did. We're both the guilty party here, sir. And I was making notes, and he was communing with phantasms. If I commune with a phantasm every time I make notes, I would have more ghosts in my company than there are in Cheapside.
Quite. Well, once he's back, I'm sure he can provide some insights into waylaying a wagon, which I think is what this is going to come down to.
Right. I do not take what he said personally. He was clearly not himself. Nevertheless, should he be back to his wits, it would be most useful to set him and Cutter on the trail of some warehouse or another.
Wagon. I think a wagon being head means we don't have to load anything.
In the meantime, I shall attend Christie's first and get a catalogue and
Yes.
gather some data.
If you can bring any sort of indications, the sort of any idea of who's attending, etc., etc., the people who are interested parties, that sort of thing. Useful to know who to hobnob with.
I'll bring you a list.
Thank you.
I hate to quaff good tea, but I must be off. Gentlemen?
Mr. Spider?
Right. Mr. Hound. You go to the given address. You go to the street where the address is. What's your plan?
Have a recce of the place, look for entrances and exits, anything that the McCreary lot might not have noticed. I have the full assumption that there is no height I can't reach to. So upper entrances, windows, those are the kind of things that, particularly if there's anything ajar up there, is going to make for a perfect point of egress.
It's a fairly run-down sort of place. There's only the one door at street level. And there are a few windows. They're all boarded up.
Boarded up is okay. They look. Is it pretty consistent? There's no room to squeeze.
There are places where you could certainly make the attempt, bearing in mind your twisted ankle.
That's a fair point. With that in mind, one of the other things I need to make sure is that I've marked every possible exit, because apparently she's a flight risk, and so I need to make sure that if I'm in the way of her getting out.
Other than, you certainly can't see. There are some windows where you're not completely sure because the glare of the sun is on them, but you're pretty confident that none of the windows have been unboarded. So to be a flight risk, the only option for her would be down and out the front door. But you would presumably have to be able to position yourself in such a way that the only route is past you.
Then I imagine one of the first things I'm going to do is, because this is the kind of thing, Hound is no stranger to breaking and entering. And if you can enter without the breaking, more the merrier. One of the first things he'll do is like casually walk down the street with the kind of purpose of someone that is in residence there, and then try the door. And if the door works, just slip inside and close it quietly.
Okay. So could you try some sort of prowl or something, whatever you think would be fitting for this?
I would do a prowly rowly. Is my position controlled?
You are in a controlled position at standard effects.
No bonus time.
I'd also accept survey, possibly.
Well, I've done a prowl and I got a 4.
Okay. So the door is not locked. But it is blocked from the other side, and the thing that mitigates your success here is that you know it's locked from the other side because whatever it was that was blocking it from the other side has fallen over and made a bit of a sound.
Okay, well, In that case, while I'm still in the position of control at this point, I need to get in. If there's been a sound and that's alerted whoever lives there, I now need to be in this building to gain control of the situation. So
Yep. Okay.
I will push past it. I will close the door behind me.
Okay. It's pretty horrible in here. It's clearly not been inhabited for some time, and when it was probably just as much of a slum as it is now. And you do think you hear some sort of urgent movement somewhere above you.
I will punch down 2 steps at a time in a very familiar prowl for Hound. I will have a blade handy because I have a blade or 2. I'm gonna crawl my way upstairs towards the sound.
You get up one of the flights of stairs as quietly as you can, and then you hear a woman's voice shouting down to you. You're not one of McCreary's lot.
I do not immediately answer, but I try to close the distance.
This isn't going to go the way you think, but I think we can both get away from this with what we want.
He will hesitate at that. I am open
Look.
to suggestions.
You're between me and the only way out, yes?
Correct.
You're armed, yes?
Correct.
From the looks of you, I'd say even if I was armed, you'd be able to overpower me pretty easily. So
Correct.
why don't I just come down there and we talk, and if you don't like what I've got to say, you can do your job.
Your hands will be in front of you, and there will be nothing in them. I am
Agreed.
not adverse to a bit of civility before this has to come to a conclusion.
Agreed. And yet you hear someone coming down the steps. And she comes into view. The audience recognizes, though Hound doesn't, the young woman who was briefly imprisoned with Mr. Cutter in the basement of the mortuary. Oh, you really aren't one of McCreary's. For one thing, you're altogether too well equipped, and also you're capable of speech. So
what did you do wrong?
it's not really what I did wrong. It's more to do with my family. My older brother owed quite a lot of money to McCreary, which my father refuses to pay. I imagine that my death will send a fairly strong message, my disappearance an even more frightening one. My guess is that my body won't be found after you've done what you're here to do. Normally, I'm fairly good at getting away. They caught me once a couple of weeks ago. I was rescued by some mad highwayman or other, and then, I know that does sound absurd, but it really is what happened.
I've heard taller tales.
But unfortunately, it put me on the back foot. I wasn't able to. I'm normally pretty resourceful, but in Camden, it seems no one's resourceful enough to outfox McCreary.
He relaxes a little at that. He moves to place his back against the wall, crooks a leg to kind of perch more than stand in an aggressive stance. So what is your family's interest in usurping McCreary?
My family has absolutely no interest in McCreary whatsoever. My brother got into some gambling debts because he was an idiot.
I see.
Unfortunately, although my brother is indeed in the past tense, it was due to some unrelated misadventure. which means that his death did not satisfy McCreary. To be honest, my father doesn't really have the means to pay him off. My brother really was, well, he had his virtues, I'm sure, but he was in a lot of ways a bit of a degenerate, and gambling was the only vice he had in the end, and I'm afraid that it completely consumed him.
Some of the best of us turn into degenerates at the end. And that is often because we lack a helping hand.
It's true. It's true. My brother was definitely not cherished by my parents. Be that as it may, now I am McCreary's target, and my brother is quite beyond McCreary's ability to hurt him.
You are indeed. And I have my full instructions, which are that you are to die and disappear as a result.
All right. What about I just disappear?
The risk there is that were you to return, you would be putting me and friends of mine into a great deal of danger that I'm not sure I can stomach.
So you would need to know that I was not going to return.
Absolutely.
It's not like McCreary to use knives for hire, which makes me think that you're in hock to him as well.
That is correct.
So you're no friend to Seamus McCreary any more than I am.
That is also correct.
You're obviously also some sort of violent criminal. Okay, well, that's all right. I rather would like to live.
Many do.
So, I'm willing to offer myself into your custody until you feel you can trust me, at which point I can scamper off into the hills and London will never hear from me again.
Now, I do like that proposal. And I must make this clear, this isn't because I am shy at the idea of killing you. I've killed many before, and indeed killing is what has put me in this position with Mr. McCreary himself. What I mislike about this situation is Mr. McCreary. But one thing does fascinate me. Can you describe to me this highwayman?
I don't believe I will ever forget what he looked like. Well, actually, I've been thinking about it, and I actually think well, there was something about the way he moved, and I'm fairly sure. But anyway, yes, he, or possibly she, was very distinctive. He had this remarkably neat turban on, you know, in the Indian fashion. Mask, face mask and everything. It looked really quite like a very theatrical. Oh, he was actually imprisoned in the, you know, that morgue that McCreary runs.
I know it.
He was imprisoned there when I was thrown in. I was taken out, and apparently he took some sort of offense at that and came after us. We were, I was being moved somewhere, presumably to be quietly executed, but things didn't go that way. He rescued me and told me to run off, and I did. This was about a fortnight ago. And I've been unable to slip out of Camden ever since.
I see. Well, I could say with some certainty, he reaches into his coat, that I have made a decision. I would like to cut the scene there, if I may.
A fantastic place to cut the scene. A really wonderful place to cut the scene. So, Mr. Spider, you are heading to Christie's.
Yes.
Yeah. Christie's is rather glamorous. Certainly it's the more appropriate auction house than Sotheby's for something of this sort. And well, Sotheby's is American. You don't want an American auction house handling the private affairs of an earl.
But Sotheby's is best for books.
Well, as you know, a great deal more than books are available. I thought that was going to happen. You see, ever since the stream started, that box has been slowly tilting, and I thought, well, that's unstable.
The earliest noise I've ever made in my life.
Well, never heard it. The microphone cut out.
Thank you.
I heard it. I think people might have heard it through my microphone, but I don't think your microphone picked it up. You can see several gentlemen making inquiries about the auction. It's usual for people to come to the auction house in advance, check out the catalogue, get a bit more detail on the lots, and to make discreet inquiries of the auctioneers and the auction house employees of what they reckon everything will go for. They've got it because the auctioneers, particularly prestigious houses such as Christie's, will certainly do their own valuations, and certainly they are very, very good at estimating what everything is going to reasonably go for. So that's usually what happens. People show up and they get an idea, so they know what bluff to call when they're voting, that sort of thing. Particularly with collections like this, there's some really juicy stuff in the Balmoral collection. The you can sort of vaguely that there's always been some connection between the Balmorals and the royal family, and these letters between the Earl's grandmother and Queen Caroline are probably quite juicy. Not in the sense they contain anything interesting, but they're letters between a queen and presumably one of her ladies. It definitely smacks to you of a noble family with not that much cash liquidating some stuff the new earl doesn't really care about in a speedy fashion, which is very profitable for the auction house. And you sort of get in the rough queue to sort of speak to the auction house employees when you actually spy some familiar faces. They don't recognize you or even really look at you, but you recognize without doubt the two gentlemen you met on the way out of Mr. Sidney Weller's shop the night that you took the orb.
What are they looking at?
They're talking with one of them's holding a piece of paper with the full catalogue and seems to have been scribbling some notes on it with a pencil, and the other is chatting amiably with one of the auction house employees, and they finish up their chat and walk off.
Spider himself is going to grab a catalogue and be listening about the place. How big a lot are we talking here?
The entire collection is rather large, but the lot 32, the occult books, lists 12 volumes.
Then I think he's going to make some notes and lurk around the employee that the two gentlemen were talking to. Good day.
Yes, good day, sir. How can I help you?
I've been sent by my employer to do some investigating regarding certain books that are for sale.
Yes, do you happen to know a lot number at all? That really would help me out.
Oh, yes, lot 32.
32. Oh, yes, lots of interest in that. How can I help?
Yes, it's about the storage. He is terribly concerned about damp and would like to know about the condition the books have been and are being kept in.
He sort of almost looks a bit slapped in the face by that. I assure you, we take excellent care of the lots, and we would. We've taken into account the condition of the books in their valuation.
Oh, of course. I did not mean for you. I meant beforehand.
Oh, they were presented to us in very reasonable condition. Some of them are on the old side, and well, if your employer is a collector, he will know well that paper of a certain age, of course, browns and becomes fragile. But there's no what we would call damage per se. Some wear, some foxing, but no damage.
Of course. Oh, excellent. And so they have remained on site.
We have them in a secure location, yes.
Yes, excellent, excellent. Very good. And you said there is a lot of interest around this lot.
Well, it's the usual sort of thing. Because of the diversity of the whole Balmoral collection, we're expecting a lot of, shall we say, specialist collectors to appear. The sorts of people who'll vote on one thing, you know, bid on one thing to a great extent, and then completely ignore the rest of the collection.
Yes.
Lots of interest in those letters, as I'm sure you can imagine. Royal scandals being the thing everyone hopes to reveal to the press. Although a royal scandal some 80 years old, I don't think is going to impress many.
Well, you know, some people are impressed by a great many things.
Well, certainly we hope so. The funds raised from this auction, of course, going to the excellent cause of the restoration of the Balmoral estate.
Oh, of course. I can imagine that. God, what was he? The Earl?
Oh,
I imagine that the new Earl is got lots of rather marvelous plans.
I'm sure.
Have you had any bids in advance for the collection?
Oh, no. We're keeping it completely closed to the auction itself, though you can see in the catalogue the reserves are rather... Well, let's just say they should keep out casual interest.
Exactly. Nothing worse than casual interest in lots of these particular nature. Well, very well. You've answered my questions quite admirably. Thank you. I shall return to my employer, and they should be along tonight.
Oh, yes, good. Thank you. We will look forward to it, and of course, the very best of luck to him.
Oh, of course. As with all things, it is sport more than luck.
Yeah, he's already moved on to the next person in the queue. And you can see on the catalogue that indeed the occult books, the dozen occult books, are reserved at 4 coin.
He'll have another poke about, just to show that he is a person who is serious and interested, and also in case he overhears anyone else talking about the books. Or the
And to be honest, Mr. Spider, you are probably privately quite keen on the correspondence. It's exactly the kind of thing your nosy Parker instincts gravitate towards.
What are they reserved at?
They are reserved at 5 coin. These are letters written in the hand of a Queen of England. So. Admittedly, a queen from 80 years ago, but still, whatever. Doesn't matter.
Still very exciting.
It is very exciting indeed.
Also, I feel it is only fair to tell you that the very notion of Sotheby's being an American company has outraged one of our audience so much that they've gotten in touch with me to correct your outlandish claims.
I'm sure Sotheby's is, isn't it? Who am I
Sotheby's was the first to open an American office of the big British auction houses, but they have been in London since the 1700s.
Well, then I make no apology. I don't care. In Gentlemen Strangers, Sotheby's is canonically an American company.
Oh my God!
It's
Fuck
canonically
you, audience.
It is canonically a New York auction house that has opened a branch in London. Take that, Sotheby's.
Unsubscribe if you care enough.
Scandalous.
I was hoping that we would print a retraction for the lads who doubled down.
If there's such a thing as
aggressive.
if there's such a thing as
Americans.
if there's such a thing as being a reverse patron, then you should become a reverse patron, where you actually
That's a
take money
thief.
from us every month.
Break into our house and steal things.
Steals, yeah, absolutely. You should hack into the PayPal, but take only the exact amount of your reverse pledge.
Rob from us. Do
If you
it,
have
coward.
If you have been offended by Saber Whisper's comportment, then you can find him at Saber Whisper on Twitter and yell at him yourself.
That's fairly outrageous. Okay, good.
Happening.
I don't know what's happening.
Americans, Bree. Americans are
I
happening.
don't think the Americans are what's happening here.
If it helps, if it helps, if it helps, they're an American company now. Their world headquarters is in America, so that counts. Okay, regardless, never mind Sotheby's. It's Christie's. It's all about Christie's. This stream is brought to you by Christie's. Don't bother with Sotheby's. They only have tat. Okay, good. Who are we cutting to now? Slide and Cutter. Are you doing any prep? What's your actual?
So
I mean,
out
what?
of my depth here.
I guess the pertinent question is, so we don't slip into accidental over planning, is what is your approach to this? How are you going to get a hold of these books?
I liked the plan where we go to the auction, we find out who buys it, and then we steal it from them later.
Like possibly that same night. So
Yeah.
Slide's intention is gonna be he needs to make sure that he can go to the auction. That is unmasked. That is the amount of prep that he's going to do, because he is gonna, in a fairly similar way to last session, it is going to be probably some social stuff pre-physical obtaining of the target.
Mm-hmm.
If the two of them aren't doing a lot of specific planning, then I imagine the discussion may change somewhat with what Mr. Spider found out. And so if you're just going to be,
Yeah, you
musing.
because of the timey-wimey nature of preparing for a score, you automatically have all of the information that Mr. Spider has acquired about who is in fact among the interested parties.
So Mr. Spider is very concerned about the gentleman outside of Weller's shop purchasing this, and that robbing from them will be significantly harder.
Okay, are we just going to have to get it right there on the night before it leaves the premises? We just got to work on it, yeah. I think it's got to be a social approach, because we can't physically sneak into the auction. Can we?
Can you not?
Well, okay, I could actually, like, my prowls are fine, but
I feel like I'm just bad at this game.
The problem is,
I don't know. I want them. I just take them.
it's how would you just take them? Go on, no. By all means, boil this down to its simplistic essence.
Walk up to the books, put them in my buckets, and walk away.
And what about people who try to stop you?
They won't.
Okay.
That's it.
A bold claim.
Right. I was going to try this with no wrong answers. I think that's a wrong.
Okay.
I see that we're doing one of those classic Mr. Cutter plans.
That's mine now.
I was
Okay.
expecting the response to be, I punched them. I'm not going to lie.
No. I just want the books. So, okay, so if we can't steal from these actual wizards, I just strongly feel like we could do a 1, 2, here's the books, and now they're different books, and we take the real books and give them fake books.
The problem there is we need to, one, acquire a set of fake library, and
Well,
two, bring them to site to do a swapperoo discreetly.
Oh, hello, Mr. Guard. We have a last minute change on the books. It's these books instead.
I think there was strength in the. I mean, I'm not here to contribute to this, but I think there was
Please
strength.
stop.
No,
Letting me talk.
we're in the ad lib stage.
It's terrible. Like, don't let me talk. I'm bad at plans.
Like,
Is
if
he
they are
not?
being loaded somewhere or transported somewhere that night, that's our biggest advantage. Once they're out of the premises, even if it's still close to the premises.
I'm hoping Mr. Hound will be able to find out where they're being kept.
That is probably something Hound can do once Hound is
Let's
aware
do
that is
that.
expected of him.
Hound
Okay.
will not be available for this score.
Oh, dang.
What?
You're on your own.
Oh no, this is
Probably
not
because of the
gonna-
murder.
Am I going to have to find out where they're being kept before? Because, sorry, this is slightly Cass trying to think through the logistical problems that we have to overcome and to identify the right thing. They're presumably going to be kept somewhere. The auction is going to happen. Some or all of them will be brought to the auction house, or are they likely to be kept in the auction house?
Well, because it's a collection of 12 books, it is
yes.
perfectly feasible for them to be brought up for display at the auction. If
Okay.
you're going to do a swap plan, you would need to swap them now, because you obviously can't swap them while they're on stage in front of everyone.
Woo!
If you're going to intercept them, then the auction, then obviously attention will be raised, because they'll go, we've got to bring up all the exhibits, or we can't bring up this one.
Mhm.
Or you could do what Mike suggested and stick them
Yes.
up.
After the fact, which Spider will be warning is maybe not a great idea.
It's only because those gentlemen are unknown elements and we can't.
No, I don't disagree with that. That's my concern of the theft after the fact. Sneaking and breaking beforehand will be difficult. It will be under daylight on the run up to a lot of people going and being in there. On the one hand, more people will probably be around and about the place for us to physically do a break-in, but it will also be busier. And so that's...
So what approaches, so what methods do you have at your disposal to get in without drawing unwanted attention? And how reliable are they?
Well, the most reliable is Mr. Slide going in the front door.
Well, the most reliable way is to have lots of money to buy
Mhm.
the books.
Oh, go in, pickpocket 5 people until we have 5 coin, just buy them.
They're reserved at 4 coin, which means I'll probably be going for at least double that.
Oh, Ned, go
Also-
in, rob 12 people.
Also, they won't have the
120.
Also, they won't have the money on them.
I don't know how money works.
I don't know.
Like, I think this is going to need to be a sneaky sneak.
Oh man, none of us are sneaky.
We're losing. Every time we do more heists, we lose one of our sneaky people. In the end, it'll just be Mr. Slide.
Right, we're coming up to 6 when I think we'll take a bit of a break. So let's end on deciding our approach
Okay.
for the score.
I mean, my vote is always going to be social, but that's because that's the slide
Mhm.
approach. However,
Well, you should
slide
usually choose approaches you think you can do.
but that only gets me in, and Slide can maybe bluff one other person in, which also includes unmasking. But Slide doesn't really care about that.
That seems suitable because
You're
one
muted,
second.
Mike.
I was muted on that one. Boop, boop, boop. That seems suitable because that way, like, anything else is flashback. Cutter is there as heavy lifting. Anything that Cutter can contribute is flashback to. So, like, if you take the social approach, balls are in your court, you're all in there, you've all got access to the books, and then it's just a matter of the extraction. I think that's the best route.
Cool.
That's what I got without an advance on that. That's my vote. It is not a particularly well considered vote, but it's a stance, and I'm taking it.
Okay.
Plus, it plays to 2 of your 3 active characters' strengths of social.
My strength is research. Yeah.
You know what? I feel like I can find out where they're being held right now. Just so we, like, in case we can try to intercept them when they're going to the auction house.
But we've got a real narrow window on that.
Yeah. Okay.
So we know right now the only place where we know where they're going to be and when they're going to be is at the auction house. We've got like 8 hours or something, and less than that if we identify where they are and break into that location and steal them or intercept them.
Okay.
Which would probably be daylight as well.
Okay. We're gonna go to the auction. Sounds
Okay.
like a plan.
Social approach.
So, very, very quickly, what is each of your individual roles in this job?
All the flashbacks. I'm the flashback.
Okay,
person.
your job is to fondly remember the past. Remember, the
I'll do
flashbacks
the-
aren't time travel. You can...
I think the gist of the startup point, it's difficult with most of us not having the skills for socializing. But what in my ideal thing would be some of us working through the front door, and some people are like able to lurk and smoke around the back to like whilst the door is opened for them, or to slip in with the rest of the plebeians hanging around to do lifting. That's the gist that I've got for you.
Yeah.
Okay. So when we get back from break, we'll take a break now, and when we get back, we'll roll engagement. And you can tell me where you all start, and we'll see how it goes, and we'll go to the auction. So we'll be back at about 10 past the hour, folks, with the exciting heist, auction heist.
Auction heist.
We're back, and we're about to engage the enemy. The enemy is Christie's auction house, not a vampire. It's Christie's auction house. They might be run by vampires. I guess that could be a separate session. So let's roll engagement, shall we? There's been a change of plan while we're on break. There's been a change of engagement, just a slight swap round. Now there's grifting afoot. I hope you enjoy grifting movies. I love grifting, personally. So good. Plus, grifting rich people is the best kind of grifting. So one die because you're human beings attempting a thing. Is this plan particularly bold? Yes, I would say so. I would definitely say so. You are exploiting a vulnerability because they are snobs and fundamentally they want to sell stuff, but also they are on the lookout for this kind of thing. So I'm going to roll 2 engagement dice.
Hey,
How do we do? We got a 4. Okay. We've got a 4. So I think... So using your cover identity, Mr. Spider, you've signed up for the auction giving a name and an address. Is any part of the name and address actually is the address actually a place you have access to? I mean, you're not really bidding, I suppose, so it doesn't matter too much. But you're given a number, and yeah, it's a bit of a fancy event. They've laid on some wine and canapes.
Napes.
And indeed, you do see the 2 gentlemen who you encountered earlier. There's a curtain around the area where the stage is because they are currently in the process of moving exhibits up. The auction will not be beginning for another hour or so, but people do like to come. Just happened there. People do like to come along and schmooze and get to know people, psych out the opposition. I'm far richer than you, sort of thing. People are speculating about what they think each exhibit will go for. Meanwhile, Messrs. Slide and Cutter, you are backstage.
Load,
Oh yes, you should decide your load.
Yeah.
which is gonna have to be light, I think, for us trying to.
Which is at least 5 because we're
Yes.
savages.
And like mine is gonna, say this because mine is gonna right out of the gate include my fine disguise kit for not looking like me and looking like a far more averagely normal regular person.
Good.
Yeah.
Excellent. Does that take a load?
Yes, it takes one of my loads as the fine
I see.
disguise kit.
Fine. Okay.
It does not have a description included yet, but I assume it just.
I feel like to look less mysterious, Cutter's not going to wear the mask. I know.
Yeah, like Slide and Cutter are there is probably going to be a certain amount of doing up beforehand for this. Like that, I feel that's. I'm here to work.
He takes the mask off. My God, Cutter, you're Indian.
Or as black.
I never would have guessed.
It's not really that different. I'm just a person. Thank you.
This is the first time. This is the first time that Mr. Slide is realizing you're a woman. However, remember that under the assumption of the skies, everyone sees you as male.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking that might actually make this part worth an engagement scene as opposed to just we arrive. Like there's shit which would happen before this.
I want to
point.
see it. I want to see it. I'm gonna sip my tea.
So at the Millennium Club beforehand, Slide will have set out the kit with a lot of makeup and a lot of like opportunities for fake facial hair, etc., etc. And go, right, well, we're going to really do better if, one, we look as if we belong as useful laborers in around for heavy lifting, etc., etc., and to obviously not much like ourselves. Now, the best way to not look like ourselves is not about vastly disguising our own personal appearance. It is about making us stand out with features which will not be our own. Oh, that person had vivid flame red hair. I mean, mine isn't vividly flame red, but a little bit ebony black hair. If I'm described as, they won't necessarily think about the cut of my jaw. They'll think about that and describe that. And then when I am seen in the flesh as myself, that is not what they will see. So what do we have to work with her?
Just take off the veil. Mm-hmm. Probably I'm gonna need a beard, right?
Yes.
Something wrong?
Not at all.
Yes, I am Indian. Thank you for noticing.
Honestly, I think we're all just good citizens of the Empire.
That's a very you thing to say. Should I put the veil back on? Would that
No,
help,
I'm
maybe?
I'm just figuring
Are
out what
you
to work
okay?
with here.
Uh-huh.
You've done an excellent job already of your own subterfuge. Very good. So yes, in fact, you know already what you're doing with body language and tone, etc., etc. So just slap a beard on you, and frankly, I think the Bob's your uncle.
I'm reading chat and I just...
The jobs are Bob's your uncle, is what you just said.
I think Kath just rolled a saving throw again, saying "jobs are good 'un," to be honest.
Yes.
That's my guess.
And instead she said, the jobs are Bob's your uncle.
Yes, I did. Do you want to make something?
Yeah, pistols at dawn. How dare you?
And what if I did? What would you say then?
Well done. You've made a thing of it.
So okay, so you are having disguised yourselves a little bit differently to usual. You are around the loading area, the back area of the auction house, where a great deal of movement is occurring. And some sort of supervisor comes out. Yes. How can I help you? Who are you?
This cat's brain attempts to come up with the exact right line for getting through this situation.
I feel like Mr. Slide is just thrown.
No, Mr. Sly doubtless had a very good idea of what he was doing before this point. Whether or not it's a good idea in the end is a good question.
Well, that's down to the dice to decide.
Yes, it is. So I'm also desperately happy to think of some useful flashbacks on this, but I'm honestly starting to draw a horrendous blank of how to have rigged this in our favor. Very happy for some suggestions on that front for...
I can think of a flashback you might do. You could have had a letter sent ahead to say, my gentleman would be showing up to oversee things, sort of thing. So
yes, of course.
It's not cast iron, but it does at least mean that you're not showing up unexpected.
Yes, it rigs the situation. Yes, so I will spend the 2 stress for...
Oh, God. One stress.
Oh, I thought it was 2 for flashback.
No, it can be any amount of stress. That's not worth 2, I don't think.
All right, okay. Especially as if we'd had a better plan, we wouldn't have needed to make this one a flashback. So yes, it will be a letter which has been sent ahead as on behalf of the Balmoral state to make sure that everything is being to assist in the proper blah 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 distribution, take care of it, etc.
Oh yes, I got the letter.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Winters and Mr. Summerby here for assistance on behalf of the Balmoral estate.
Yes, but you're not Mr. I was expecting to hear from Mr. Molehouse.
Mr. Molehouse is unfortunately engaging with some other matters on behalf of the estate. They are to do with some of the housing and properties where there has been some, I obviously not really in position to elaborate further, you understand.
Well, no, it's just it's very inconvenient. Mr. Molehouse has been directly overseeing this entire affair. Well, there's nothing we can do about it. The auction's going ahead in less than an hour.
Yes, I understand that the estate matters are somewhat complicated and require his personal
Oh,
assistance.
no doubt, no doubt. Well, so be it. But what is it you can possibly want?
An examination, ensure
Ugh.
that everything is being stored in the proper way.
You have we've signed documents to that effect. They are currently you would know this. Mr. Molehouse knows this. We went over in exhausting detail our facilities and so forth and so on. There's simply no time. We're taking everything up on stage now.
Well, then if we can at the very least provide some overseeing, then I can assure him, simply for my benefit of my job, that it's
I
all been done
can't have
properly.
you running around in there.
Oh, we don't have to be out front, sir. Peer through a
No, I
curtain,
meant to
that's
know.
fine.
I've got my people dashing up and down and so forth. I can't have people showing up and watching over their precious paintings while we're trying to sell them.
We can certainly make sure we can stay out of the way, sir.
I really don't have time to argue with you, but I'm not at all inclined to what you say. But perhaps you might try to command me to do so.
I really don't want to do that. Actually, no, I'll.
Oh, it's a sway. It could be a sway potentially.
I'd love to sway him to do that.
It's more of a command, but it's because of the letter you sent in advance and the fact that you are specifically claiming to work for the person who owns all this shit. I think a sway is arguable.
Okay, I would like to do this in a sway then, please. Mostly on the trying to be officious enough to make him give up, so I fuck off is the gambit.
Yeah. Well, he's very he's very busy. So
I'd like to check this will stay out your way, blah. So if I can sway, position is.
I think risky because if it fails, he'll turf you out.
Yep.
Standard effect.
Sure, I'm just wondering whether or not. Do I want to? You know what? I'm going to spend some stress on an extra dice for this because if it goes awry, then
that's what it's for.
Yeah, exactly. This is the point to.
Oh yeah, for sure.
This is the point to blow it.
It's better to spend stress to prevent problems than to solve problems. I think usually.
5525.
Nice.
Okay, excellent. Very nice. Good. Well, as I said, I don't really have time to argue this with you. I've got 100 things to do. Please stay out of the way. Don't get underfoot, all right?
Of course, sir. Don't worry.
All right, carry on then as you were.
All right, Summerby, we're gonna.
Yep, I'm going behind you.
So yeah, it is indeed exactly as busy as described. There are various bits and pieces. There's far more than just this collection on sale, of course. This little this basement is quite extensive, and you get the impression that given the volume of the auctions that they have here, this certainly isn't their only storage facility, but anything that can be stored here, they seem to prefer to. And you don't see any bookshelves, but you can see the area where all of the Balmoral things are being slowly taken away from.
Okay.
Our stance is to snoop, I think, at present, and not get the lay of the land without drawing too much attention to ourselves.
So there's one article among the collection that could potentially be the books. It is a very large closed leather luggage.
How big?
Yay by yay.
Oh, okay. Exactly the size of books.
I mean, it's got 12 books in it. It's quite large.
You reckon you can lift
It
that?
should be noted. Sorry, I do note. It should be noted. It is on wheels.
Yeah, even better. Steal the wheelie luggage.
Okay, so we know where it is. How we see it. Then there's people everywhere, right?
Oh yes.
Okay. What are they?
There are
dressed
specifically
in, like...
two security personnel standing over the collection.
Oh man. Okay.
Do you reckon that's something which you can carry, Summerby?
Definitely. No
How
problems.
jolly novel this is.
Okay. What
I-
if? No, Bree's the panicking. That's all. Just you can talk if you have character things to say.
I'm going to. Could horribly backfire. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to go over there and make a bit of a fuss at those two security guards. Not going to push it too hard, but a fuss of I'm working from the Balmoral estate, etc., etc. Here to make sure they know what they're doing. And I want you, when they're being irritated, to come over and tell me to leave them to do their job. They know perfectly well what they're doing. Don't engage too much with them. Tell me to basically shut up, let them get on with their job, and that will ingratiate you with them.
Very smart.
Right.
Great plan.
Don't overthink it. Tell me to shut up as if I'm a jabbering fool.
Okay. Don't be offended.
Business as usual. I mean, cut up. Right. Slide is going to go over to the two. I'd wait for a little bit of a lull in the process, like not when they're right already up to their elbows.
No.
Afternoon. My name's Mr. Winters. I'm here on behalf of the Balmoral estate. This is their property. Well, what is still the property that you're overseeing? Am I right?
Yes.
Good. I just want to be sure that this isn't. Are you going to be manhandling this from here?
No. Well, not us.
Just watching it, carrying it. Is that going to be someone's specific responsibility?
Yeah.
Do you know whose?
Well, not the name. Them lot.
Them lot. All right. Are you going to be watching it until it's brought up?
Yeah. Well, I'll be going with it.
You'll be
on
going with
stage.
it.
Yeah.
All right, very good. It needs to be make sure it's not going to be unduly jostled. This is all some very delicate.
Nothing to do with me. I'm not moving any of it.
Well, I would be appreciative if you're responsible for its security as well. That
I'm
includes it.
responsible for making sure no one nicks it, sir.
Well, that's very.
How they treat it, I don't care as long as they legally own it or have guardianship of it.
Well, that could be a little bit of a devaluing on behalf of your. And there's a little bit of jabber, like.
And then I'll cut in when it looks like the guy's taking a deep breath for another sigh.
Mm-hmm.
What was his name? Mr. Winters?
Winters, yeah.
Mr. Winters, you're bothering these nice gentlemen who are only doing their jobs. No. Stop talking. Let's go and let them do what they do best. Gentlemen, so sorry for the inconvenience here. Mr. Winters, step aside.
As you say, something. All right.
I gotta tell you to stop talking.
I have no idea how useful that was. Fairly useful.
We've got a couple of minor helps. I'm going to redeem a minor help from Frey McFuzzles and have one of the so frazzled by this conversation, one of the security guards is going to go out for a fag.
Yes, you did something.
We grab it and run. No, it's.
There's only one.
Yeah, but there are an awful lot of people still around here.
Yeah, well,
Frankly, actually, I'm going to have to trust your instincts on when's the right time to make a move.
I'd better start a clock, hadn't I?
Mm.
We're going to start a 4-segment clock called The Books Go Upstairs.
oh no.
We'll fill in a segment. That's how we'll do that.
We just Spider ends up going to a lovely party upstairs. Oh, we nick shit.
Why is it always that Spider is just on the cusp of the action?
I'm sorry, I'm improving for what the fuck our opportunity is here.
So let's go up to Mr. Spider then.
Mhm.
Everyone's getting settled in for the start of the bidding. Is there anything you've been feigning interest in?
I mean, I think obviously the letters. Some of the books. Like, there's the occult library. Are there any other libraries? I'm so excited.
There are no other books on sale now.
You think Mr. Spider at some point just starts looking at things that he might be interested in? just because he's got to show, he's got to be able to talk interestedly with these gentlemen. So he's actually looking for things that Mr. Breaker might want, but like, just so that he can at least go, oh, this, you know. But aside from that, he is not. We didn't send Mr. Slide to this party. We sent Mr. Spider to this party. So I imagine he has fallen in with at least the couple of other people who are very interested in something very technical. And he's like, something very technical. I wish to listen to this. But he is not engaging himself in conversation. He is keeping his ears open to listen for anything that might be someone interested in the book, someone talking about something else, someone also, because there are people here who are interested in lot 32, who clearly therefore have an interest in the occult. And people who are interested in the occult are very interesting to Mr. Spider. So he is going to be attempting to make note of any names of people who are interested in lot 32.
Okay, well, let's do some sort of, let's make a roll about that
Yeah,
then,
I'd
see
love
what
that.
you can find out.
I'd love that. I mean, I know that it's likely. My problem is that I'm looking at the resolve things, and I don't feel like it might be consort, because he's not trying to be chummy to get people to tell him things. He is just interested in that way that I guess everyone is here for a purpose. It's not like he's going, who was interested in that auction the other day? He's actively like,
I'd accept consort or possibly study. Either one works for me.
Study was also the other one I was interested in, but to be honest, those are Mr. Spider's best stats. Therefore, it matters less which one I roll.
Well, it will recontextualize the results depending upon which one you're on.
Then I think, given that Mr. Spider is in full information gathering mode, I'm going to call it study, because I think he is actively interested in the people involved rather than controlled position.
Yes.
Standard effect.
Yes. A 6.
Oh, that's a 6.
There are quite a few parties that are sort of vaguely interested, but you're able to whittle out the difference between the casual collectors and the actively interested persons, and you've got it down to 3 parties. The first is a Mrs. Winsbury, who is dressed altogether too warmly. She's got an extraordinary coat on with the most obscenely thick fur collar you can possibly imagine. She must be absolutely baking in here. There's a Mr. Orpington Brumley, who's monocled and rather stuffy and a bit self-serious. And the third party is the 2 gentlemen.
Do I get names for them?
No. They don't seem to be talking to anyone else.
No.
They're nattering away perfectly amiably with each other, but they're not really very outgoing at the moment.
Can't blame them. Mr. Spider, when we settle for the auction, will be attempting very much to keep them in his sights.
Mm-hmm.
And he is also going to be taking a seat at an aisle or at the back or somewhere where, should he have to make a quick getaway, he can.
Okay. Meanwhile, Mr. Hound, you've reached your hand into your coat pocket.
I was just unmuting me from all the things. He will draw a blade. This
And
has
what
been
is
a
that, Mr. Hound?
Oh, sorry?
And what is that, Mr. Hound? She doesn't call you Mr. Hound. You haven't introduced yourself. She just
No,
says, and what is
that's what threw me. I was
She wasn't
pondering
being
how to
spooky.
answer.
I'd forgotten you hadn't introduced yourself. She just says, and what is that?
This is because, at the end of the day, that's part of this conversation as it's gone down. I think it's become pretty apparent that Seamus McCreary is nothing but a thorough man.
Hmm.
And I'm sorry to say that there needs to be a death here.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way we are going to convince him that there has been a death is that there is some amount of blood, and I'm afraid it's going to have to be yours.
No, I don't think it is.
You perhaps misunderstand me. He then turns the blade over so he handles it by the blade and offers her the hilt.
I have absolutely no interest in my blood being spilled by your hand or my own. It's a rather irresponsible thing to do in this city, wouldn't you say?
I need this so that when his friends come looking around here, there is no doubt in their mind that you have been killed.
Come with me, please. Let's go upstairs.
I will stash the blade and follow.
I'm not being irrational. I'm certainly not. I understand what you are doing. May I ask you a question that, if you don't wish to answer it, I won't take offense?
Of course.
What's your interest in the supernatural, sir?
Oh. I have fallen afoul of it a couple of times, and I want to make sure that it can foul me no further.
Recently?
Very recently.
Within the last day, I'd say.
Now, how on earth did you come to that conclusion?
You reek of it.
In what manner?
It is on you as visibly as a bloodstain on a white sheet. And she takes you up into a room in the attic of this building, and you see a sort of metal bin of some sort. Look in there. What do you see? What you actually see is a bunch of ash.
That you've had a fire.
Yes, I did have a fire, which you might think is a rather risky thing to do. But well, it is important to me that I do not leave anything behind of myself. I'm certainly not leaving my blood behind. I don't think, whoever it is you are, that you know exactly what sort of business Mr. McCreary is in or how he conducts it. But I assure you, he is no more a stranger to that other world than you or I are. And he certainly has means at his disposal to find me by magic, should he choose to. I do not choose to leave that means behind me.
Then allow me, at this juncture, to be perfectly clear. Had I known such a power was at his disposal, I would not have made so crass a suggestion.
That was my assumption, and I hope you understand that my explaining to you exactly how conscientious I am being is not born from some madness or paranoia that I have contracted. It is because I know perfectly well what Mr. McCreary's people are capable of.
I appreciate it in that instance.
There is a reason that it is so difficult to move about in Camden without his knowing. And there is a reason that he walks about with no bodyguards.
Why?
He is not afraid as long as he is in Camden.
So Camden itself, the location, is the source of his power? Or is that too blunt a way to put it?
My name is Amelia, by the way.
Oh, Anwar, pleasure.
Anwar, it's good to meet you. Well, it hasn't been wholly pleasant since you did come here to kill me, but you seem to have come around to not doing so, so perhaps we can be something approaching good acquaintances.
That would be preferable.
I don't know exactly what it is Mr. McCreary is capable of. I don't know exactly what it is Mr. McCreary knows. I hope I haven't given the impression that I myself am more than somewhat familiar with the occult. You might think that I'm being coy about some hidden magical talent of my own. I assure you, it is nothing more than the instincts of a well-trained hound. I simply know what magic smells like. I've been a student of these things for some time.
I have never had the capacity to be a student of these things. You could have brought me up here to this bowl full of ash and told me it was magical, and I would have only your word to say on it. However, it's a skill of yours that I do envy.
It isn't magical exactly. It is almost the precise opposite. I have been trying to disguise, as you can see from my very short hair, I've been trying to disguise myself by cutting it. I've been burning my hair to prevent it from falling into the hands of a person who could very well use it to track me. I assume. I know very little about magic except for the very broadest sense in which it can be used, but I'm reasonably confident anyone who has ever heard of a witch knows very well that with a piece of a person, a witch may work any sorts of things. And if Mr. McCreary is not a witch, he certainly has them in his employ.
Mm.
My goodness, it's so strange to say that to someone who doesn't look at me as though he thinks I'm insane.
No, I have seen ample, even before I wound up with Mr. McCreary looming over me. I've seen ample enough of things that aren't of the norm to have a bit more of an open mind.
The problem is this. I imagine although I hope you believe me that I have no intention of crossing paths with Mr. McCreary directly ever again, you also seem far too intelligent a person to simply trust that I will not do the case, particularly since you don't know me very well at all. And it's obvious that I'm some sort of troublemaker or I wouldn't be in hiding presently. That being the case, while I am still willing to live in your custody for the time being, I can only submit myself to that offer if I thought that there was somewhere I could hide that McCreary does not know about.
I know that there is somewhere that you can hide that McCreary does not know about.
He would have to be very sure.
If he were to look for me, I know where he would look. The place where I am thinking about, he absolutely would not come. And if he were to know of it, then he knows more about me and everything that I am up to than anyone possibly could.
All right. It is the only ticket out of here, I suppose. But will you promise me, Anwar, that once I have earned your trust, you will release me from your care and allow me to go my own way?
I will make you 2 promises. One, to do just that. Once I can be sure that you will not bring death upon my doorstep and pain to those that I hold dear, then yes, you will be free to your own devices. And if I may be so bold, my second promise would be that my intention is not to stay friendly with Mr. McCreary for the longest possible time. And were there an opportunity to enact revenge, I will do so in part in name for your brother.
But the sad fact is, I am going to have to appear to have died, aren't I?
You are.
Which means my father will still have to suffer the loss of his last remaining child. I don't think there's anything we can do to avoid that until it's finally safe for me to reveal myself to him. And unfortunately, my father, well, let us just say my brother had to inherit his dull wits from somewhere. And I think that even if I were to slip away tonight and appear in front of my father, I think it would get back to McCreary very, very quickly. My father has no capacity for guile whatsoever. I don't know where I got it from.
I must say, in that regard, Miss Amelia, I find myself quite envious. There are very, very few people in my life that, were I to simply stop being around, would care to take notice of that. As much as it hurts that you will need to possibly break your father's heart, and I trust that no drastic action is taken by him in the time that it is between your disappearing and your reappearing. At least you have someone who will miss you.
The truth is, you're right. You're right. I am very lucky indeed to know that he would care that much to make a fool of himself. And if my apparent death causes him a little financial hardship but ends his relationship with McCreary once and for all, I suppose that actually, to be honest, I think I'd painted myself into a bit of a corner here, and maybe my apparent death is the only way out of it in the end anyway. I die, he pays the debts out of fear, and then McCreary has no interest in people unless they have something he needs. Maybe in a few years I can discreetly make my way home.
I would like that. No,
First, we have to discreetly make our way out of this building, however, and I would suggest we wait until after that. Were you watched coming in here?
To know that I'm in here, I have no doubt that they will be keeping an eye on the premises. However, they are all too aware of my capabilities, and it could well be that they simply think that I have either perished in the ruckus, or being that there's no ruckus, that I'm simply waiting for nightfall to emerge.
Well, we could do it that way. What if they were to storm the place, thinking that you'd somehow come a cropper? Because the alternative is you wrap me in a sheet and carry me out.
That is how this ends, I fear. I usually like to wait for a little bit of dark, just so not too much attention is drawn to the fact that I'm bundling a carpet out. However, being spotted in this instance might be one of the better things.
What? Well, this seems like a very strange question to ask, Anwar. I assume it's important that my body isn't found by the authorities.
Yes.
This is such a bizarre thing to ask. What were you planning on doing with me?
I have friends who are quite often...
Okay, that's fine.
Very well.
I honestly, I know that you're not about to murder me, but the truth is, no, I really can't imagine what foul thing was going to happen to my remains, and I feel a little bit like someone's dancing on my grave. Do you have some conveyance with you, or am I going to be bundled over your shoulder and walked somewhere?
Bundled over my shoulder and taken down a few alleyways. Possibly not the one I was first anticipating, if I was trying to make the quietest getaway possible. But from there, just down to the canal side, and then I have a mode of transportation awaiting.
Well, it's better than being shot or stabbed, I suppose. Be cautious. Do remember I am still alive.
And you please understand that if I'm jostling you, it probably is not for my own comfort. It's to enact the idea that you are dead weight.
A week ago, I was being transported to one of McCreary's places where my death would not have been a quick one. So, as much as I appreciate that you're sorry if you jostle me, I think I can live with a bit of jostling.
Wonderful. Then let us find something suitable for you to be contained within.
Okay. Yeah, there are some dust sheets and so forth around. Why, you can't imagine. There's nothing that they're covering. Maybe there was once stuff here, but yeah, you find a sheet and it's easy enough to. Shockingly, with her cooperating, or with her being equally as cooperative as if she were dead, it's not too difficult, and she's not She's not that heavy.
So much easier when they're alive. They keep the arms in rather than just flopping.
That's true. You'd have to worry about rigor mortis stopping the limbs from going where you want them to go. I don't think it would set in quite that quickly. I'm assuming if you did a fresh murder, you'd probably be okay. But yeah, so you bundle her up, and I think you're actually from the point that she's bundled up in the sheet, you're following more or less the plan you're always going to follow. So I don't think you attract any. I think if the McCreary boys spot you, the brothers go, good, we can finally get out of here and go get a drink or something. Like, they're not going to escort you or anything, because they know the instructions you were given. They assume you're going off to do something and dispose of the remains. And I take it the means you're referring to is your boat.
Yep, I imagine it's nice and handy. I imagine he would just get it closer to where he can deposit it with the good doctor, were an actual body, and then just wait in there until nightfall. And so he's doing much the same, rather than going to the doctor's at nightfall, he's going to the club.
Excellent. I think we'll close out on the two of you, because of course you pull up in what are affectionately called the Camden Catacombs, though they're not and never have been catacombs, but there are underground canal ways there, and there's an access point, as you know, a secret access point into the club. Do you use that secret access point, or do you go up onto the street and around?
I think I might as well use the secret access point.
Yeah.
It actually is of benefit for me if she does turn out to, not that she sounds like she's going to double cross us, but her not knowing precisely where she is actually a plus.
I mean, absolutely. You know, if you approach from the street, she goes Fitzroy Square, right? And if she's a traitor, then she knows Fitzroy Square. Now all she knows is, I don't know. There was some sort of entrance in the catacombs. Could be anywhere. So yeah, no, I think that's a good gamble to make, just in case. And she's right. Ultimately, you are too smart to just trust her. So yeah, you lead her out and into the cellar area. And I think she said, I think we'll just cut the scene on her pointing at the orb and going, what's that? Because, you know, it raises questions.
It's
you're
our
obviously
orb.
Yeah, you're obviously more familiar. Don't you have one? Doesn't everyone have an orb? She's obviously not as familiar with the occult, or at least this specific aspect of the occult, as you. So let's go back to the basement of Christie's, where we're down to one guard while the other enjoys a therapeutic smoke, having been traumatized by needling. Masterful needling.
Masterful needling.
Okay, I have a question. When you say the books go up, is it a flight of stairs? Is it a ramp?
In flames. No.
Stop it.
There's a manual lift, like somewhere between a dumbwaiter and like an actual lift. Like it's probably, I say it's not safety rated for a person. No lifts built now should be used by humans at all. They're appallingly unsafe. All the safety mechanisms, I think most of them haven't quite been invented yet. Some of them have. But yeah, it's a really big, really hefty dumbwaiter lift that goes all the way up. I mean, it's carrying some really heavy stuff, and it's sort of operated by a couple of guys on like a chain and wheel thing.
But it doesn't, even though it is not supposed to carry people, and it does not carry people.
Well, sometimes someone will get in to secure the cargo as it goes up, is the practical answer to that. But it is not supposed to be used by people. And indeed, I mean, the height that it's traveling, unless you were in a really awkward position, you're not going to break much more than an arm.
Okay.
If the chain broke for whatever reason. But yeah.
So if a really dumb person got onto it and broke it, suddenly they would have to find another way to bring these books
Suddenly they would probably have to get two people to painstakingly bring it up the stairs, yes.
That is.
Oh no. It seems that it's been broken.
So someone we don't know who broke it.
Is breaking it right now as we speak on accident.
Okay, how would you like to do that?
I have no idea.
You don't have to. You don't. I don't mean how. As in, tell me exactly which lift mechanism you break to do. I'm not going to do that because I don't know how lifts bloody work. Magic, I assume. I just mean.
I want to forcefully sabotage it.
And I
I
guess I'm
feel
running
like-
distraction.
If it's a pulley system or something, shove something into where the pulley is supposed to go up, and suddenly, oh no, it's not going up.
Okay.
Something has gone awry.
So to be more specific, are you jamming it up, or are you actually going to break something so that it is now completely like it needs repair, or are you just going to jam it up so someone just needs to fiddle around and get it loose?
Well, I want to. I see under rec it says carefully applied sabotage. I want to carefully apply some sabotage to this pulley system. And I would take some suggestions on how that actually works, because I don't know how pulleys work.
If you move something, like that's going to be a right bucket to fix.
Yeah, like the mechanisms are completely visible to you.
Yeah, I want it broken.
You'll
have to carry things instead.
Yeah, okay. So there's we've got another minor help in play from the Railway Man. I will cash that in to actually change what I said earlier to say that there is one person operating the lift, not a pair of them. There's only one person to distract or get rid of, or I say get rid of, like you can't just maim them in front of everyone, but
yeah. Okay, cool.
This is great. I like it.
Mr. Slide, I'm going to need you to distract that pulley man person over there.
The lift operator.
I'm going to destroy the lift.
I want to see this. All right. That I can do.
Okay. His name is Bill Pulleyman. And you're going to distract him.
I'm going to be a pain in Bill Pulleyman's ass.
He comes from a long line of pulley operators.
I want to know about that lineage. No, Mr. Winters would like to inquire about the contraption under the "Is it perfectly safe?" Because that's he's gonna basically going to have a word with you. I don't want, and he's going to try to take him a little bit to one side, not miles away, but immediately outside of it.
Oh, I like it. You're actually continuing your needling about how secure the goods are, and now you've decided bored of you and you're going to go needle this guy. I like it. That's fantastic.
Yeah,
that's everyone you've spoken to just remembers you as that annoying man who was really overly worried about
I feel like this disguise has a big mustache because, again, Slide operating under the principle of have a distinctive mark which isn't your own. And
they're like, oh, that Mr. Winters, that irritating man with an irritating mustache.
It's so annoying. Yeah.
Absolutely. No, I love it. So yeah, I think yeah, he'll sort of give you the spiel about how, oh well, you know, it's perfectly safe. People aren't supposed to get in it, of course they always do, and kind of thing. So yeah, if you how do I want to do this? I know what to do. If you make an action for this, that will determine the effect level for Mr. Cutter sabotaging.
Right. So
this is how distracted is the guy. Because how distracted the guy is means how thoroughly Mr. Cutter can sabotage the lift. So I think is the answer to that.
That sounds good. A sway position is controlled.
I'm happy with sway. Yep. Controlled. Yep.
Controlled effect standard.
Yeah.
And no bonus dice.
Hey.
662. I'm so distractingly annoying.
A critical success. Oh, that's fantastic. That's a really good place to get a crit. Okay, so gosh, I really want to give you something good for that.
He also gives me some useful information. I don't know.
I know what the critical success is. I think he's showing you something and accidentally breaks it. I think he accidentally like snaps the operating lever or something, and he's like, "Oh shit! Oh fuck! You've got to come with me. I need to replace it. The maintenance cupboard. Let's go."
Yes, of course.
And I think, and as Winters and Pulleyman go off to find a lever before the supervisor notices, Mr. Cutter, there is no one paying the slightest attention to the lift at the moment.
Feels nice. Feels real good. I'm gonna spend a stress to make sure that I get an extra dice on this because I don't want it to fail.
Okay, spend his stress to push
Yep.
yourself.
So
And
now,
this is a wreck, is it?
yeah, is this a controlled position now?
It's controlled position and it's increased effects as well.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Oh
Here we
my
go.
god,
Oh no.
no! No!
Oh, guys, that's a 3.
No! What the heck?
That is pretty unlucky. That's a 3. So that's a failure. So I think while the control position means you don't get particularly bad consequences from this failure, but the effect won't come up. So essentially, you simply can't. The bits that you were going to break seem a little sturdier than you thought, and by the time Mr. Winters and Mr. Fullyman show back up, you haven't really been able to permanently break anything. It is, however, going to take some time to replace the lever, so I am not going to advance the books go up clock. You have bought yourself a bonus segment, effectively, of the books go up clock from that guy breaking the lever.
Okay.
Okay, we need to actually nick this thing.
Uh-huh.
I know that's self-evident. How busy is it down here? And what are the exits?
You have 3 exits. One is the lift. That's not a fast exit.
Yeah.
You have the stairs.
Here we go.
The stairs up, and you've been up those stairs. They go up 2 flights. The first flight leads to places like maintenance and certain offices. And that is that's not level with any exits. And 1 flight above that is the auction house itself, which has numerous exits backstage, as well as, of course, the main entrance. And you've got the big old door, the loading door that you came through.
Okay.
Can't go all the way up to the top, or we're buggered. We would need a distraction to take it out the back. And if we stow it on the middle, then someone has to wait and then carry the damned things out later.
This is the best. Okay. What if I get on the lift, hide myself, and as it's going up, I take all of the books out and hide them on my person somehow, and then run away.
I think there's a start of a good idea.
Okay, what if I get on the lift? And as it's going up, I kick everything off, and you take it, and we still run away.
No, if you're on the lift and no one else is on the lift, and you stop it on the second floor and move it on the intermediate floor and move it off.
I kick it through in the second floor, take it, and then sneak it down when everyone's looking for it upstairs.
Terrible. That's a pretty...
Because the second floor doesn't have exits, but it has more stairs. This is just another briefcase of books.
It removes it from place, so we could possibly break it down into something which we could remove.
Right?
If you can hide on the lift. I think one thing we need to do, GM, is and this is kind of dependent upon how much freedom we have, is to honestly look at what the situation is on the middle floor at the lift access point. I.e., can someone wait outside the lift there? Is there much back and forth? What are the doors like? If we are going to try to nick it while it is in transit up the lift, what's that going to look like from a practicality basis?
I don't even have to be on the lift. I can go to the second floor, bust that open.
So you've just been up there. So I think that's all information that you have. We have another minor help from Fuzzles. Factory today.
We need it. Thanks, guys.
So I think that's fairly straightforward. So what I was going to say before that help came in was there's 1 or 2 people still working up there. There's no one working up there now. And so there's no one sort of on the list. So there's one thing that you will need to do. There's one thing that someone will need to do. there is a lift stop there because
Mhm.
this floor is where the valuations happen. So they do take goods up to this floor normally. So the lift does have a stop there, but the hatch is presently closed and you imagine can't be opened from the inside. So someone will have to go and open the hatch for Mr. Cutter, or Mr. Cutter might want to take his chances and wreck and see if he can pry or force the door open.
My thought is if I go to the second floor and wait till the lift is coming and then like have it open and then just like take it out while it's going up.
Well,
It's not super fast.
ideally,
It's
we
not-
don't want it to be visibly broken, or someone is
Well,
going to realize
Well,
what's
it's
happened.
just a latch, right? It's just a little. You open it.
Is
the
it
door's open.
locked?
It's not locked. But it's not locked. It's opened with like a little handle, but
Right.
it's all on the outside of the door. It's not impossible to open it from the inside, but it's potentially takes a little while and could potentially, depending on how you do it, make a bit of din.
Can you go up there then, Cutter? Get ready to get it, pop the hatch. If you go and take a look, if you think you're going to need to make a bit of noise, let me know, and I can knock something over and give you a little bit of cover to pop it and get ready to wait there. And the idea is it goes on the lift. I'll try to make sure no one gets on with it. I will do my first job at them. Oh, the lift's not safe, blah, blah, blah. And then it
If
disappears.
anyone's getting on this lift, it's me.
Well, preferably not, because I want it to disappear from right under everyone's sight, but yes.
Okay.
And then hopefully it goes on the lift, no one sees it, it arrives at the top and nothing's there. You've grabbed it in and hightailed it off to just hide it away somewhere on the middle floor. So are we good with this?
This is a great plan. Let's do it. It can't fail.
Go have a little bit of recon on the hatch, and if you need me to make a distraction down here, let me know.
Okay, I'm swooping up to the second floor.
Okay, Mr. Cutter, it does sound like to me that you want to get up there without anyone seeing you get up there, because you're not supposed to be going up there, which sounds a bit prowly to me.
Oh no.
Oh fuck.
Oh no, maybe it can fail.
It can't because I'm going to spend 2 stress.
So you're going to spend 2 stress, okay.
Hang on, what exactly is Cutter trying to do at the moment?
Go to the second floor, open the latch, wait for the lift to come so that I can reach in, grab the books, and then close the door back.
What are the points of failure here? You're not moving quickly enough? You not...
Not being spotted.
This is an active work area. Everyone knows that these two are not employees of the auction house. So if anyone sees him going up there, they're like, "Oh, you don't do that." So this is an attempt. So while everyone's busy, I think the idea is to slip up there while no one's. I mean, no one batted an eyelid to you going up to Winters, going up with Pulleyman. So like, it's not like they're going to go "Oh, intruders detected and take out their pistols. But
You mean it's not an area where Cutter going up there, you know, it goes red and goes... "You're
restricted
into-"
area. Yeah, the guards become active. Yes, not Assassin's Creed.
Then I think I want to help, and I'm just figuring out how. I'd like I'm using the F word, but I don't mean this like this. I mean, there is a gentle flashback to a moment. But
Language, Spider.
I never would. Where Mr. Spider is assisting Mr. Cutter, who is like Mr. Cutter is big and tough and strong, but naturally gets mildly anxious when having to deal with other people, just in case he mucks it up. And I think there'll just be a moment where you see Mr. Spider talking to Mr. Cutter, and he says something like he's giving advice like, now remember, if ever you're in a place where you oughtn't to be, don't automatically avoid eye contact with people and don't stare at them. Act like you're meant to be there. Keep your collar up. Do not lower your hat, because then you will look naturally shady. You must look absent yet present, confident yet not overly worried about the position that you are in. That way, people's eyes will simply gloss over you as if you were part of the landscape.
Quite.
And that's
Quite so.
that's advice on hiding in plain sight from Mr. Spider, and you are assisted. I think that gives you 1 bonus die.
Nice.
Nice. Okay. So I'm guessing this is risky.
This is certainly risky. Yes, standard
Okay.
effect. But you have 2 bonus dice.
Okay. That's both fives.
Good. 5. Wonderful.
Oh, we made it.
So I think this is a fairly easy one. I think you get up there, no one sort of challenges you or stops you. But I think the cost of your success is that someone sort of noticed you going up there out of the corner of their eye. Because you succeeded, they don't really think anything of it. But it might come up later depending upon what happens up there.
Hopefully nothing. So I want to go confidently to the lift gate.
Mm-hmm.
Look
Yep.
at this thing.
Yep, there's a little handle, you turn it, there's a sort of, you can hear a latch on the inside and you sort of pry open these metal shutters. It's
Beautiful.
perfectly fine.
I'm gonna wait. Here we go. I got my grabby hands ready. We're taking this thing.
They'll never possibly figure out what we've done here.
Could have been anyone. So, just to recap, so I get the sequence of events correctly, you're going to yoink the case of books out of the lift as it goes up past. And then
That's
wheel
what I'd
it.
like to do. But
Yep.
if Mr. Slad can like break it again, he knows how now.
Slide's current hope is that the lift will arrive at the top and just be empty for the recipients. That's
Yeah.
That's the perfect.
Okay, fine. So then there's no reason for me not to just tick forward the clock to 4 segments and the books go up, because now you want the books to go up.
yes.
You just don't want them to get all the way. So
And to not be accompanied, so Slide has
Mostly up.
possibly some work.
okay, well, no one's planning on going up with them. It fortunately, because it's the suitcase is just, the one of the guards, however, is going to start making his way up the stairs.
I'm gonna have to try to waylay them with again it's the officious bullshit again. That it is a look, before you go, I know I can't go up there, but please bear in mind some of the following. And Winters is going to do that god awful thing of just going, and just one more thing. So at every single turn, the security guard thinks he's almost finished, and then he just keeps on adding something to basically try to forestall how long it will take for the security guard to just go, oh, shut the fuck up, I'm going.
Okay, fine. Yeah, let's give it a go. This will be risky.
Okay, I am gonna again spend some stress for this sway because this needs to go
Yes.
well, risky, effect standard.
Effect is standard, and I think, let me just double check something. I think I have a help from quite early on in the session.
Woohoo.
Let me just look that up. It didn't end up in the.
There was one right at the start.
There was one right at the start, and I'm struggling to remember from who.
You do
think it-
do have one.
I think
Hold
it
on.
might have been Frey McFuzzles.
Yes, you have. Throughout today, you've had 2 from Frey McFuzzles and 1 from the Model Railway Man. You have used one of the Frey McFuzzles one and one of the
I've
Model
used-
Railway ones.
I believe I've used both of the Frame Puzzles one, because I used a Frame Puzzles one earlier and just now.
Oh damn!
But
That'd be it.
I believe there was another one that someone said.
Well, that was in the Discord, though. I think someone put that.
I think we may be out.
I mean, that's fine if we are, but someone's.
I don't want to like gloss over it if someone said something.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah.
thinking.
Did we use the model railway then?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
President of the
under-
Aid Brigade, find out which of your number helped.
Maybe I'm just imagining this.
Are we talking about one that was possibly left over from a previous session, or
No. It was done today, or I imagined it. I might have
No.
imagined it.
If it was the one at the
Um,
beginning from Frey McFuzzles, that's the only one I remember, and you seem to think we've done both.
Yep, the only ones
don't know what the hell I'm
I've
thinking of.
registered are Frey McFuzzles, Model Railway Man, Frey McFuzzles.
Okay, then some sort of brain event has occurred then, because I absolutely read it earlier, and it wasn't from either of them. That's okay. I don't know how I've come to that conclusion. Then yes, roll away.
1 bonus dice for my.
Woohoo. That's a 6.
4116.
Ooh,
I
that
know.
is a 6. That's
It's very
fantastic.
nice though to get that 6 in the last slot
It
because you
is,
know that
isn't
you
it?
did
Yes,
everything
yeah.
you could and it worked.
Because sometimes you spend a bonus, like the last time, sure, it was nice. Obviously, it was very nice to crit, but it was, yeah.
It's a good one. It's a good
one.
one to get an uncomplicated success on as well,
Yes.
because now sort of. So I think what this means to me is, of course, that you're not going to persuade the guard not to go upstairs,
just
but you
delay.
successfully keep him from going upstairs until, although you have no way of being sure about this, until Cutter is out of the way. Now let's see if Cutter can succeed. I'm not sure if there's necessarily. I don't know if there's really an action for this. I want to, because there is a point of failure. The lift isn't going to stop partway through, but it's not like it's not fast, and it's not like it constantly moves. The lift does this; it lurches because it's being operated by someone.
And I feel just like this is, again, we're in pulleys and levers and stuff. That's just her daily life is pulleys and levers and storage and like.
Okay, well, I think given that you've been given plenty of time, and the fact that Lou has sent in a help, I think you've got enough time to do it carefully, and therefore you don't have to risk sort of rushing it and failing it. So as it comes up, and because it's sort of it's a case, it's on wheels, I think what happens as it come up, you lift it up and you have your hand on the handle, and as soon as the lift's level with you, you just pull it back, and because it's on wheels, I think you end up kind of on the back foot a bit as it sort of chunks down out of the lift and lands on the floor. But it's all good. And there are sort of, as I said, there's lots of offices and a maintenance cupboard and things like that. Where would you like to stash it in the vaguest terms?
Well, I want to close the gate back. I don't want.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Now, right? I want to stash it. There was one set of stairs that came to this floor?
Yes.
Okay. Then I want to go. I'm trying to think, is closer better and hide it, or farther better and then maneuver it later? Because I want to be quick about it. So not in front of the lift. I want to go towards.
Like, what's on the other side of it? Because we've got the middle. This is
Yeah.
now on the.
It's the middle floor, so you've got
Yes.
offices and places like that, custodial cupboards.
I don't think anywhere that you hide it is going to be like a huge hike away. So I would go for middling kind of distance. Like, if anyone has a quick nosy, they're not going to spot it, but not like hidden right in the arse end, because if someone does decide that they want to scour that floor, then they're going to find it no matter what we do. We're still underground at this point, aren't we? In these offices?
You are, yes,
Yes.
you are.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, so there's not like a window I could check it out.
No.
No.
Okay, then yeah, I'll go in like in the middle area between the stairs and the lift and hide it in an office. But
Maybe you could remove the contents.
yeah, that's what I was thinking. If I go in the office and I start like replacing it with different books.
Okay. Yeah, you can grab some like accounting books and things like that. So
Yeah.
the total weight of the collection of books is 10 load.
Oh no, I only have 5.
You actually have 7, as I recall. Oh no, you came with light load, didn't
Yeah,
you?
we came with
Yeah,
one
we
of those.
came with light. So I can only take half of these things. But I could store them. I'm replacing all of them. I'll pick the 5 most spookiest ones for my load, right?
Mhm.
And then I will hide the other 5.
Okay.
In this room.
Right. So you're going to replace them all with the accounting books. Okay.
Maybe not in this room. Hang on, I'm trying to think this through. I don't want Bree to fuck up the.
Yeah, no, I get what you're doing, because right now, if you're replacing the contents, then actually it's not the worst thing in the world to leave the crate not in
Now,
immediate sight.
you want them to find the luggage, don't you? Because as soon as they find the luggage,
That's right.
they're not looking for it anymore.
So we could just like open the gate to make it look like, oh, it somehow fell out Someone
Mhm.
didn't secure this. This isn't my fault.
Okay.
So that's what I'm gonna do then. I'm gonna replace it, but so it's still going, right? Slowly.
Yeah.
And then I'll just put it right back next to the door with the wrong books in it. I have 5. I've
Okay.
hidden some. We could come back later, maybe. If
Okay.
not, we have half a library.
I mean, there's a lot of things which can go wrong either way, but yeah.
Yeah, but I can just go slip outside to our and just. I have 5 books. We have 5.
Well, so you are going to need. I don't know how this is going to work. You can't have half an occult library.
Oh.
Um,
Okay.
I think that's more about no, I would stick that as a part of our extraction plan. It would be
Yeah.
half of them are going to be on Mr. Carter. So sorry.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So fine. I was more thinking out loud. So I like this. So you sort of my the way I'm imagining this, you wheel the case up, and then you sort of push it over to look like it's fallen out. You open the door, because the idea is they leaned it up thinking the door was closed on this floor. Some idiot had left it open, so when it came up on this floor, it just flumped out again. Those fools, those damn fools.
Gosh. Hire
Um,
better staff.
That's brilliant.
So now you need to get back down without anyone taking note of your arrival at the same time as the books went temporarily missing. So I guess I would ask for another prowl or something similar from you.
Okay. Well, I can't spend any more stress, and I have
You
nothing
can.
in prowl.
You can still
So,
afford. You can still afford stress.
I don't want a trauma though.
Well, you've got 4.
But if you get the 4th one, you get a trauma. Oh, yeah, I see what you mean. Okay, I was looking at it wrong. I can spend 2 more stress. I will have 1 die, you pals.
That's okay.
1 die.
Well, you
to
could
get
make a
this
devil's
die.
bargain if you wanted to avoid the stress.
Ooh,
I think this is supposed to be a
Yeah.
good time for a devil's bargain.
devil's bargain me up, fam.
Damn,
Here we
that always
go.
sounds. I've really sounded like I have one in mind, which I don't. What's a good devil's bargain for this one? Open to suggestions as always.
I feel like. Oh man, no, I can't do that.
Are there any consequences of rubbing a magic book on yourself? I don't know how the meta's working. I'm trying to think
Oh,
of something
no.
slightly
I have
more
more-
interesting than someone will remember you. 'Cause
I
you
mean, Cutter does have a pre-existing
Oh, you are lightly
condition.
cursed.
Yeah.
Yes, you
Yeah.
are lightly cursed. That is actually very true.
Oh no.
Does the devil's bargain have to be directly related to what you're doing?
I don't think so.
I think it does. I think it has to be related to a thing that you're doing. Otherwise, it's just devils. We can't have devils running around, can we? Okay.
My hand starts chanting. What? Sorry, I was reading chat.
Okay. I think the devil's bargain is you lightly cursed. I really want it to come up.
Oh.
The devil's bargain is you will get your bonus die. But whether you pass or fail, you awaken the curse.
God damn it.
This might be the structure.
I'm doing it. I'm doing it. And it risky, super risky. Is this desperate? Can this be desperate? I feel like it's desperate.
It could be desperate because they are now on the lookout for the books. Fuck it, let's do it. Desperate, do it. You take an experience point.
I'm
do it.
hurting myself with this. Okay. Okay.
Are you spending stress and taking the devil's
You
bargain?
can't do both.
Oh, you
No.
can't do both. Oh, hoo, 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 hoo.
It's okay.
But
I have one die.
she's keeping the stress, I guess, in case there are consequences she can
Mhm.
resist, which is
Okay.
very sensible. Okay, everyone, let's do this.
No, oh God, that's a 5.
It's a success. You did it.
I was so scared.
You did it. Okay.
My hands
So-
are sweating. Like if they could drip, I feel like it's gonna drip.
It's success with a cost. The thing you were trying to do was get down without anyone noticing that you'd returned from your escapades at the exact moment that everyone's going, hang on, where's the books? Which you succeeded in doing. The cost of your success, as well as, of course, the devil's bargain of you have awakened the curse. Oh, I'm going to have to start some sort of clock on your character sheet. What's the cost of success? I think the cost of success is that because you so meticulously set up everything and realize you were actually running out of time if you wanted to casually stroll down the stairs, is that you've dropped one of the books.
No.
Oh, look at that little pout. No.
I don't like it.
That's the cost. So you may have complicated your exit slightly, but not in a particularly material way. But it just means that someone might notice. So what happens is a bit of commotion. Up at the top floor where the auction house is, the lift arrives, and there's no case at all. So they ring the bell to have the lift summoned back down again, which they do. Meanwhile, the guard trots his way back down the stairs. And there's a bit of a commotion. Why didn't you load the thing? And the guard goes, no, they did load it. It's fallen out on the second floor. Oh, okay, fine. So they set about loading it back up. I'm going to start a new clock. This clock is going to be a 6-segment clock. And that is called, fake books.
Oh no.
And when this clock is filled to the brim, it means that someone opens up the case and realizes that it's a bunch of Christie's account books rather than an occult library.
Okay.
And I'm obviously going to fill a segment.
Although mercifully, given that they're now behind because the case fell out, they're not likely to open the case up because people will be impatient.
Well, this is the lot arriving on stage. They'll wheel the case on stage and then they'll open it when it's the lot's time to come up.
Orcs. Okay.
So
Mm-hmm.
we have to get out of here with all of these.
I think I'm going to give this information to you in character as well. And I think the guardsman with Frowser because he's going to go, they're almost there. They're probably going to be on this lot in about 20 minutes. So you've got 20 minutes roughly until the case is opened and the truth is revealed.
All right. You've got, how many have you got?
I have 4. 1 fell out. There are 10
All right.
or whatever. However many.
It would take me a couple of runs to get them all then. I can try to slip up where if you let me know where they are. It's, my turn to drop some heat.
They're in the office with the duck on the door.
Yeah. All right, yes.
Someone's exquisitely carved duck plaque.
Oh, some hunting trophy or other terribly frightful. Right, I can slip up there and attempt to get maybe 4 of them. But
Okay,
but we're going to need another, and I'll try to grab the one you dropped on the way. And then we'll need a plan for the last 2.
Okay, so this is terrifying. All right.
You're doing good. If you get the opportunity, ditch them somewhere around. No. Just keep a low profile for the moment.
Right.
This is fantastic. This is some proper Ocean's 11 stuff. I love this.
This-
They think they've still got the books and they don't. I love it. It's great.
This lift plan was brilliant, Brie.
Love it.
We
Absolutely love it.
We need some spider nonsense. Spiders good. I don't know.
Well, do you have telepathy?
I shall send my spider army down to aid you.
Oh
Hey,
God.
I'm sorry, Spider.
All Mr. Spider can do is wait for something to happen. He is currently in reactive mode, so
Sorry, Spider. We seem to have just made bullshit up as we were down here.
that was the intention.
Accidentally, I did a thing. Okay.
So,
Mr. Slide, you're going to go up and collect as many of the books as you can.
yes, that is. I'm just trying to think of something clever to try to justify bringing.
Well, I've got
more
a suggestion. I don't know how much I should be helping, but something does occur to me. You did help the lift operator out of a jam, and he's the one whose neck is on the line if he didn't load the lift properly. So
Mhm.
maybe you could offer to help him one more time and go up with him. And while he's trying to figure out what's gone wrong with the lift, maybe you can take that chance to slip some books.
Onto the lift.
Well, into your pockets. I don't know. I just meant if you wanted to get up on the second floor.
Oh, sorry, to help with the I was thinking for physically carrying 6 books when I only have 4 load left.
Yeah.
That was the puzzle the conundrum I was on. Yes, no, then Mr. Slide will approach Bill and have the stance of, that's much more of a Slide way to sneak up anyway, even though he's perfectly competent at prowl.
No, it makes perfect sense. It also means Bill can easily explain why you're up there and you don't have to.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So he's like, oh, thank God you showed up tonight. Let's go up and figure out. I'm sure I closed that shutter.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, he'll head up there and start making sure there's nothing wrong. Like, there's obviously nothing wrong with the shutter, but at this point, so much has gone wrong for him tonight. He's like meticulously making sure the shutter mechanism is going to stay. He closes it, he pushes on it. He's like, maybe I need to get in there and find out what's wrong. He opens the door partly and tries to pull it from the inside. And so he's doing a bit of detective work and not
Poor
really paying
Bill.
attention to you.
Slide will start out being very encouraging so that like he gets really into what he's doing and then leave him.
Yeah.
Then nip off for grabbing the 1 dropped and 3 from the stash.
Sure.
And we need 2 more. And from a logistical perspective, GM and a system perspective,
Mhm.
I assume that taking the other 2 would be the equivalent of visibly carrying out a big obvious briefcase or something like that.
In essence, yes. It isn't, you're right. It's not outright carrying capacity. Like, you physically can't.
Yeah.
Of course you can, because you could have. It's having the satchels and pockets for it. So to bring out I think it's only 1 load of books you need to bring out, unless I'm mistaken. I think
I already used one of my load on the Find Disguise kit.
But Cutter also has 5 load.
Yeah, but I dropped one.
Yeah, which Slides
Oh, of
picked
course,
up.
that's true. So there is only 1 at
There's
the end.
1
which
load's
we'll need.
worth of books, which might be 1 big book or a couple
Yeah.
of whatever. It doesn't matter which one. It's now a question of you're obviously carrying these things. And
I am going to strike up more conversations afterwards with Bill about his equipment, about what he brings in and out, and essentially he's having a hard time.
Yeah.
If he's got like a nice big carry-all of anything, which, you know, I've got my burly fella Summerby around. If he's going to, at the end of the night, need a hand getting any of his stuff out.
I have a devil's bargain for you.
Oh gosh.
It's a devil's bargain for the entire party.
Oh
actually.
gosh. It's Bill evil.
You have managed to, through just the most fantastic Ocean's 11 bullshit, and I love that, and I'll always let you get away with it because it's fantastic stuff. Through that and your clever, accidental best friending Bill Pulleyman, you've managed to acquire 9 load out of the 10 load that the collection weighs. I'm prepared to say that constitutes a full occult library, which is to say you could now walk out of here without picking up the extra couple of books and you would functionally have your occult library. The devil's bargain is when the remaining book or books of the collection are found, there may be consequences for you down the road.
What do you say, chaps and chapesses?
Library.
It cut out before.
So was there
all
more
I
to
heard
that?
was library.
Yeah, I just heard Izzy slightly indignantly say library.
Library!
Well,
we
it
can't
starts-
split these books up. They're a family.
Yeah, it started because I went, my library.
Yeah.
We do need to get Mr. Spider his library so he can have somewhere to sit.
But
We didn't get
will.
all this way to trip at the finish line, though, which we very well might, but I'm prepared to trip anyway if we just get the whole thing.
But you're
Not the whole
risking
thing.
having none of them.
Yeah.
Also,
Hmm.
Stable says that there will be consequences. There are always consequences.
Got a point. Got a point. Let's go.
Better to have consequences and my library.
Oh, right. I wasn't sure what the
Oh.
sentiment was of my library. Like, I wasn't sure if it was give me my goddamn library or how dare you suggest I put up with an incomplete library. It
I am
was-
sad. I'm sad that the books will be separate from one another because it's not a library then. But I guess
We
know,
can heist the books later, the different books. We can track them down.
a library is the
through-
a family is the library you choose.
Okay. That's our t-shirt.
That's
I'm
as in
gonna
the
take-
common saying.
I'm going to take that as a yes.
Yeah, let's do it. Just
So this is
your.
you're accepting
We've
my
done it.
devil's bargain. So I think there comes a moment you come down, you've managed to fill your sort of well-designed vigilante pockets with as many books as you can carry. Mr. Cutter's already
Mhm.
weighed down with his books. And I think there comes a moment where you look at each other and you go, we have to cut and run. We've got no more reason to go back up there. And I think you just go, Spider's going to have these. Like Spider's going to have to Spider had no occult books this morning. So yeah,
I
so
love that
you
although this is a crew resource, everyone's like, we must get Mr. Spider his book.
Well, yes. He's
and
the
you
smartest
also
one
know
of
that
us.
you've got a matter of minutes before they realize that they've got the wrong books. At
Yes.
which point you will be suspect to numbers 1 and 2 simply because you're strangers.
Gentlemen, strangers.
Gentlemen strangers. So the two of you leave in good time, laden down with books.
No,
Mr.
everybody, do we flashback to putting a gentleman stranger's card in the briefcase? Should I have put our calling card in the briefcase?
I kind of love it.
Oh,
Yes. Come on, we've
Yes.
totally nicked the books. Like, there's
I'm
no,
doing it.
no denying that.
Hell
The-
yeah.
Okay.
Hell
Okay, I like
Put
it.
the card
especially
in
since
there.
we're going to have consequences down the line.
We might as well just own it.
Actually, maybe
These
it's
are
even
my
more stylish than that.
consequences.
When you were loading up the account books, you slipped in a card as a bookmark on today's date, so that when they next go to update their accounts, the card falls out onto the desk. You
Yes,
just
I
got
did.
strangered. Okay, I love it. That's fantastic. That's really good. Okay, so back up in the auction house where the bidding is taking place, lot 32, and you don't get to find out who bids or how much it would have gone for, because when the case is opened and there's no reaction from the audience because the audience don't know what the books are supposed to look like or anything like this. There's a bit of a from one of the sit hands, and he goes up to the auctioneer and whispers, and the auctioneer says, "Oh, apologies, ladies and gentlemen. There appears to have been some sort of inventory-related irregularity. Perhaps I could ask you all to adjourn to the lobby for some more delicious refreshments while we ensure that the lots are in perfect order. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen." Bloody hell, what's going on? And everyone sort of starts filing out, slightly confused, except for the two gentlemen who are staring at the case of books, and then they look at each other and they stand up. And Mr. Spider, you see them striding not into the lobby, but they start striding towards the backstage door.
I guess then. Ah. I guess then it is my duty to waylay them.
Oh, okay. All right.
Look, Mr. Spider doesn't know what's going on, and as far as he knows, the chaps need
No.
time.
Absolutely fine. Absolutely fine. What do you do to waylay them?
I think he's going to go full on, like people are bustling. I think he's going to be attempting to bustle over towards the other side of the room, and in the progress will bump into them. I imagine they're doing the thing where they're trying to get around the chairs that have been left, and he is going to be awkwardly trying to get through a different way and do that thing where you end up waylaying someone physically with yourself.
So we need to move towards the end of the session. So this is what's going to happen. You are not going to successfully waylay them. However, when you bump into them, one of them says to you, "Do excuse us, sir." Doesn't really look at you. He just goes straight for nothing you can do about two guys who are determined to go somewhere.
Of course.
They're not listening to you. You don't have enough physical strength to stop them.
Mr.
But one of
Spider
them,
know that the others are already on their way out anyway.
but one of them sort of turns to look at you. He doesn't recognize you from the Sydney Weller score, because the devil's bargain was that one of them would recognize Christopher Wick one day. So he doesn't recognize you, but he does look at you for a moment thinking he might. And you spot something. The audience doesn't know what you spotted yet, but you spot something. And as he turns away, you go, and you turn and go, I need to leave now. I'm going to assume because the wrong books are in the case that the job is done, and you leave. And one route or the other, the three of you head back to the Millennium Club, since I'm assuming you're not going to cart your ill-gotten gains through Aventine. You go to the Millennium Club, where you are surprised by you'll be eventually surprised by being introduced, in Mr. Cutter's case, for the second time, to a young lady. But I think we can deal with that on another occasion. Unless, I mean, how late can people go? Because I'm conscious that we are getting towards 8 o'clock, so we've probably run out of time to do downtime as well. Unless people can go on a little way after 8, but I'm not going to ask anyone. I don't want people to feel they have to, because 8 o'clock is our finish time.
Yeah, I will not be able
No,
to.
that's fine. So we'll have to resolve it another time. That's okay. Maybe we can do downtime off screen this time. We've done enough downtimes. Maybe we can just kind of do that. But the conversation about, look at this new friend we've made is quite important. But we will end on this revelation, as Mr. Spider says he still does not know who those two gentlemen are. But your connection with these two gentlemen might be more complicated than you'd originally thought. And Mr. Spider takes out one of the notebooks that he'd made, and he flicks through to a certain page made a couple of weeks ago, and he lays it down on the table and goes, damn. One of them was wearing a beautiful golden pin badge depicting upon it a hare riding a hound, the precise same seal that you saw on the note that accompanied the gold that you stole from the train a few weeks ago.
Uh-oh.
Bag of dicks.
And that is where we shall leave things. You have successfully acquired the claim occult library.
My library.
This was great.
Yay.
This was all fantastic. I'm going to tick that off on your crew map. Congratulations. You now have the occult library. That was great. That was some Ocean's 11 stuff.
Good job, Rick. That was some top fucking planning with
Yeah, like I
that
loved it.
list.
I loved everything about it. I love that thing, the idea of wheeling it back afterwards so that they would find it and wouldn't think, hang on. Really good. Fantastic. You covered
We
your tracks
bought
perfectly.
ourselves some time.
You did buy yourself some time. You did really well with it. And I'm glad Spider got to get a little deeper into the larger conspiracy that may well be the meta plot. And Mr. Hound has made you a friend.
I can't wait to do that scene, because it basically this morning was, listen, I know I should have told you, but I've been summoning ghosts. And then you come back from this, you're like, okay, listen, it's not as bad.
I summoned a friend.
I
You
summoned a
rescued
friend.
my girlfriend. It's okay.
And
Okay.
also, I want to say, Kath, like your kind of social maneuvering stuff was so the way you guided that poor man who really fears for his job right now.
I
To
mean, that
basically take you where you need to go. I loved it.
was largely a success of the dice part. I think the best part of that grift was the lift plan. I could talk. All I can do in this bullshit is maybe talk my way into places, and
we
then,
did it the right way round.
Yes.
I agree.
Great.
I'm
It
here
was
for
really
it.
great. So we might have time for a very quick rattle through downtime. I'm not sure what the balance of probabilities is there, because I don't want to make downtime a trivial thing. But we still have a little time.
Oh, why don't we
Um,
start with Brie?
Let's start with
Yeah.
Bree. What downtime would you like to engage upon, Mr. Cutter?
Look, I want to indulge my vice.
Which of your vices would you like to indulge?
I feel very superior right now. I'm going into my fighting pit and I'm going to
Okay.
punch some fools and,
With-
and
Not to be the hinderkinder amongst the pigeons, but with your curse enacted.
you don't know.
I don't know. I don't know. How could I
I'm not
possibly
thinking
know?
about it.
I know you're not.
Nothing's happened.
You're not.
so
Nothing's
far.
happened. I wasn't talking to you.
Nothing happened. I'm going to punch some people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna push this. What? How does this work? You just push indulge vice and submit it. That's it.
You
right?
do indeed.
Hey,
That is 3. So you clear 3 stress.
nice.
You clear 3 stress. I'm not going to call upon the curse. You've not overindulged. But if you do, I shall.
Oh no. Okay, cool. Do I get
Um,
another one? Do I get 2? Do I get 2 downtimes?
Oh, let me do payoff first, shall we? Let's just
Right,
do
right,
that
right,
and make
right,
sure everyone's
right.
got their experience points. So first of all, payoff. Did you contribute to the mysteriousness of your reputation? I certainly think you did. That touch of leaving the card, and no one's quite sure how you did it, I think is fantastic. So that actually means you get an advancement.
Ooh, nice.
So
We're good at that.
yeah. Did you interfere with supernatural operations or destroy a monster?
That's a you question.
Like,
Did we?
the guys wanted the books,
Yeah.
and they are.
I think Izzy's exactly right. You
Mm.
know these guys are interested in the supernatural because they were going to pick up the orb from Sydney Weller's shop, which you also stopped them doing. Like, you really are their accidental arch nemesis at this point.
Whoopsie doodle.
So that's definitely the case.
Is
So
someone doing the sheet? I'm not
doing the
doing
sheet. I'm doing the sheet now. Yeah. Did you contend with challenges above your current station? I don't think I really measured it that way. So no, I don't. Not on this occasion.
I would hope that an auction house is not like beyond us.
No. It's not like you weren't dealing with the cops or anything.
Stews is entirely on our level. Sotheby's would have been a different matter entirely.
A famous American company. Did you express the goals, drives, inner conflict, or essential nature of the crew?
Yes.
I mean, it seems pretty straightforward to me that you did. In fact, I think I'm going to give you 2 for that because I think Mr. Hound also contributed to expressing the drives and inner conflict of the crew. I think Hound might believe he's now found himself at least a beginning tutor in matters arcane. I'm just going to make a note that you are owed an advancement as well because I've had to clear your XP track from that. You didn't actually no, you did gain 1 heat. You didn't leave a body behind, but there's certainly a theft and you have left your card, so you do have a heat. Let's quickly dish out some experience points. Bree, did you give yourself the experience point already for your desperate action?
Oh no, I didn't. I did.
So that desperate action was a prowl, so I think it goes into your prowess automatically.
Ooh, okay.
Okay, excellent. Did you address a challenge with violence or coercion?
Yes. It didn't work, but I tried.
You did address. It doesn't matter if it works. You did address the challenge that way. Yes. Did you express your beliefs, drives, heritage, or background?
Does my background equal police?
Equal what? Sorry.
Police.
Your job.
And
It
mechanical
expressed your
bullies.
job.
My
You did.
job.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I think you work in a warehouse area, so I think like knowing what timing you've got on things, like how long until people realize something's wrong. Yeah, I'd say so. That's fine by me. Did you struggle with issues from your vice or traumas during the session?
I don't feel like I did. No.
Okay. Fine. Mr. Hound.
Hello.
Mr. Hound. What's going on here? Oh, I see. Did you roll needs for actions? No. Did you address a challenge with tracking or violence?
I wouldn't. I mean, I'm disinclined to say so. I
Okay.
specifically wasn't violent. I didn't track anyone down. Someone tracked someone down for me.
Okay. I actually disagree. I will give you the experience point because when you were still planning on killing her, the way you did the entry, like specifically things like, now that I've made the noise, I can't back off, I have to go in, but then I crouch down, I'm going to make my way up slowly. You didn't like initially respond to her when she called out in case it was a trap. To me, that sounds like an experience point's worth of tracking.
Okay,
And
I accept it.
You can talk yourself out of the experience point if you want, but no.
No, I'm welcome to.
Did you express your beliefs, drives, heritage, or background?
I think so. There was that conversation where Hound indicated that there was no one that would miss him should he perish other than his dog.
Yeah. But also, I think your drives as well. I think there was, I think you had already decided not to kill her when she revealed that she had some knowledge of the occult, but you did take a special interest in rescuing her once it became clear that she did have. And I think this is the episode of Miss Hound going, "Oh, I'm definitely interested in the occult now." Yes. It all works. It turns out. Did you struggle with issues from your vital traumas? Well, yes, you did. By definition, you received a trauma. And that was an issue from your vice. So yeah, you should get my view is you should get an experience point every time you get a trauma anyway. But yeah, definitely. So that's fantastic. Oh, interesting. Did you change your trauma?
I have been specifically changing my trauma throughout the session to keep it a mystery because I thought you might be looking on my sheet, but that is the one that I have settled on.
It's interesting because I actually thought you were role playing the original choice of Mr. Spider, but you were probably just role playing being traumatized.
Yes.
That's excellent. That's really good. I just clicked on a. Okay, that's wrong. We just did Cutter. Mr. Spider.
Hello.
Mr. Spider, did you address a challenge with calculation or conspiracy?
Oh, you know it.
I know it. I was there when you did it. That's fantastic. Did you express your beliefs, drives, heritage, or background?
I would say so. The combination of a desire for a library and Mr. Spider always seems to be the one that comes to the group with heists.
Okay. That looks like a level up for you then. You mark those last two, don't you? Or have you just marked two?
I've just marked.
Oh, I see. I
I'm
understand.
marking as I go.
Okay.
However,
did you struggle with issues from your vice or traumas during the session?
yes, I did.
Yes, absolutely. That opening scene with and being the way you were so sort of upset with Hound for dabbling with the supernatural with your haunted trauma. Absolutely fantastic. So you have earned a playbook advancement. So you may choose another special ability. That's really good. And Mr. Slide.
Yes.
Mr. Slide, did you address a challenge with deception or an influence? Yeah,
I would like to tick that twice. With the
I was about to
focus
say you should tick two of those.
of talking
absolutely.
in and handling Bill pulling.
Yeah, no, without question. Did you express your beliefs, drives, heritage, or background?
I actually think that I mean specifically background in the strict statistical sense, not necessarily, but like I think that Mr. Slide's personal experiences with the occult definitely colored his the way he handled Hound and his proto seance shit.
Yeah,
Like-
and I think your solution to the question of exactly what happened being somewhere there's an expert
Yes, that's
whom
true.
we shall trust to help us is very much like Hound is a bit of a we'll figure this out, we'll get this done, we'll see what's going on. And you're like, someone knows. No, absolutely, I think so. And did you struggle with issues from your vice or presently non-existent traumas this session?
No.
You are remarkably untraumatized. We'll get you there, Kath. We'll fill
Eventually.
that bar. We'll fill it. So we'll stop there so that Izzy has time to read out the Patreon list. But we'll try and do some offstage downtime because obviously you're all owed things like stress relief and possibly some wound healing here and there as well. But thank you so much everyone for watching. This one was great for me because it had all of the elements I love from a heist, which is not only the cunning theft but also grifting, which is why I said it was a very Ocean's 11 style thing. And then in the end you just walked out the same door you walked in full view of everyone, and they had no idea you were walking off with one of their most valuable lots, which is just, and then they opened the box and it was fake. Oh, and it upset them so much. That's my tea. That is completely my tea. So thank you all for that. That was really brilliant. Next time,
just be better. I mean, that's
next
not
time
on
I-
us.
no, but look, it was great, and you had some really unfortunate dice, but you rolled with it perfectly. You did exactly what the system was all about. To me, this was one of those sessions. It's perfectly Blades in the Darky. Next week we'll try and do some violence, shall we?
I think we do it.
You're due a monster of some sort, but not next week, next session, in a fortnight's time. Meanwhile, you can catch us again on Tuesday with Star Trek Iskander, which has many of the faces that you can see. But Izzy's about to tell me there isn't a Star Trek.
This Tuesday is not Star Trek Iskander.
Okay.
Star Trek Iskander is in a fortnight.
I accidentally lied about that, which possibly means that this Tuesday you'll see some more Among Trash in the same time slot. So keep an eye on the Discord if you're not on there already, which you should be because it's great. It's the happening site, a site of happenings. And then next Sunday there might be more Among Us, but definitely 2 weeks from now will be the next Gentlemen Strangers. Over to Izzy with the amazing list of amazing supporters.
Yes, you are quite correct. Star Trek
And how will she mispronounce Michael Kilburn today?
Who knows?
Who knows?
Star Trek Iskander will be back in a fortnight. In the meantime, you can catch up with the adventures of the Politics of Peace, on YouTube, and I'm reliably informed that this plotline is something of a banger. So if you wish to catch up on it, do so, because I'm running it and I'm very proud of it. And you can see all of these faces, or you can see the fallout of the actions of another one of these faces who was definitely there when someone died, whose name we shall not speak. Until then, I have 2 minutes to rattle off this list, so at breakneck speed, trash bags in the chat, if you will, for this lovely list of people who support us on patreon.com/itucrew. Go there to become one of them and have me read your name very quickly and sometimes very slowly, saying silly things about it. And if you have enjoyed this session, please let us know on all the places that you can reach us. Trash bags at the ready for Chen Poyner, Kiwi Tokoeka, Photosynthetic, Eligos Alexander, Dr. Liz Murphy, Dr. Michael Crees, Dr. Andre Cherpnin, Dr. Lucas Justinian, Joe, Dr. Lou Sutcliffe, Socky, Henry Prestige, Caffeine Kitty, Hobbs, 138, Hey, Kilb. Oh, the name has been cut off on my list. So, Kilb. Amy C, James, Muffy Malloy, Mike Fielding, Michael Bowman, and of course, everybody's favoritely named member of the Trash Fam, the Trash Emperor of Garbage themselves, Helena and Basket, with the little stuff at the beginning and everything. It's Helena at the moment. That is what they say when they are being a deeply sinister person lurking in alleyways. Helena Handbasket. Aside from that, much love to you all. Thank you for joining us. We, the Gentlemen Strangers. And don't forget,